I just spent 4 hours at our business building workshop event in Manchester, teaching the exact strategies that have helped our clients scale to over £100,000 a month in fitness, and also some of our clients just getting started. In this video, I'm going to show you some snippets throughout the day and the most valuable points. We're going to break this up into 8 different sections with key take-home points so you can implement these into your business. So the first thing we spoke about is the GOAT mentality. Now, the most important thing I want everyone to have is this. Your mindset is everything when it comes to building a business. And if you don't have that locked in, you're going to be completely screwed. We talk about that and then scaling using that mentality with high leverage systems, which we'll get into now. Excuse the terrible handwriting. Does anyone know what that abbreviation means? Okay, so like the first thing I want everyone to think about, whether you really believe it deep down or not yet, is you have that mentality with like whatever demographic is. So whether it's with the menopause, whether it's with like executive people over 30 years old, you want to have the mentality you're going to be the best person specifically at what you do. Because as soon as you have that attitude when it comes to content, in terms of the way you talk on camera, the way you're hiring team members, like you want to have that authority and presence. So like, if you don't believe it yet, even if you almost like to try and trick yourself into that mindset, that's a huge thing to do. Because like, I used to lack confidence a lot, but that was the mindset I had of like, this is what I want to do. I want to be the best person at everything I do. And as soon as you do that, your like actions start to reflect in terms of the attitude of everything you do every day. So if you can start everything you do with that mentality, you want to be the greatest of all time of what you do, then your business will succeed. So if we go back to the first ones. So Tara, scaling team. So specifically, scaling team, what would you say is the number one thing that you're struggling with at the moment? Finding the right people, hiring the right people?
I think for us it was looking at we had plenty leads coming into the business, but very quickly realised that our appointment setting team, the volume wasn't high enough.
Yep.
And we're not scaling with it. We had 2 part-timers in, and we were hitting probably about 50 to 60 outbounds a day, and we know and we've done okay up to now, so that lets us see, wow, we could really scale this. So again, as somebody says there about the inconsistency in the months. So yeah, it's getting the team. We have a team in place with 2 part-timers and 2 full-timers now. We've recruited 2 full-timers. So we're currently getting them trained. We're getting them up to speed and really scaling them up. We've taken on Damien, as my husband Damien. Damien looks after all the coaches and the client success. So we have new coaches coming into the business as well to pick up the fulfillment end.
Yep.
If we're driving sales and we need the coaches in order to fulfill the coaching, so the results. So we've got a closer in already, and it's myself doing it, so I want to take myself out of that. And then I need to take myself out of I still do a bit of one-to-one coaching as well, higher ticket stuff.
Too much time spent.
Too much time spent trying to get me out of that. To get me doing the sort of window, the front end stuff like Dave's doing. I need to get out of coaching to do more content.
So the way I look at business, so if you look at, if I can draw in here again. So let's say if you look at a business, and particularly when you're looking to scale, like a lot of you guys here, so in my opinion, I look at it as you need like 3 people in a business. So you have like the traffic guy, so the front end. So that's making the content, running the ads, all that type of stuff to try and pull people through. Like that is a very unique skill set, and it's a thing you need to actually put a lot of time into and thought. So that's the first thing I would say you need to look at. Second is you need the salesperson, and then third is you're going to need someone who runs like operations and like hiring and in my opinion, all the non-fun bullshit of like business, which is, it sounds like Damien's got that one. The way I would try and split that up is you try and take these 2, but ideally as you start to scale, you want to try and go spend like 80% of your time here, Tara, and then not even know about what goes on here. Because the problem is like, me and Mike filmed 10 YouTube videos or something Wednesday. I said to him, I won't look at my phone during that time because I don't want to see something that then irritates me or is like slightly negative, that then my head's not in the frame of what I have to do. So this is really where you want to evolve to get to. In terms of where you are now, it's just a prioritizing like what's the biggest bottleneck you need to fix and only fixing that thing. So similar for Mark and Jess, is like setters is the big bottleneck. So I would like obsess over fixing that problem as quickly as possible. But when you say fixing as soon as possible, it doesn't just mean hiring the first person who comes along. So I'd be very difficult almost in terms of the people we're onboarding. in terms of like an interview process to make it as challenging as possible. It'd be same for you, Junior, in terms of like coaches. Like you want to be quite aggressive and almost trying to put them off. Like one of the big things I'd say to everyone is this isn't a 9-to-5 job, because you don't want people with a 9-to-5 mentality. So you want people who really try and drive everything into that. From the team perspective, how are you finding the setters at the moment?
The two setters we have are underperforming, so we haven't been aggressive enough in our KPIs with them. So we have an issue that we have new recruits coming in, so we're fresh with them. We can start off, we need to go on. Whereas the two current ones, they also need upskilled. So it's like we're starting from scratch again with everybody on that.
The current part-timers, could they do more time?
No.
Okay. So then what I would look to do is get the other 2 full-timers fully up to speed and push the other 2 out the door.
I'm moving one of my current, one of the guys who's doing my outbounds, he's very good, he's into marketing, so we're sort of pulling him more into a marketing role, eventually pushing him into that, and the other girl's doing a PhD, she'll probably eventually phase out, but we do need 2 full-time people in there, so it's great to have that 4 people there just hammering 7 days a week, 14 hours a day.
And this is what I'd say, so for Mark Jess, like that's the engine room of your business. I think I said to you on the call today, like this is the most important part when you're at that scale, because if you don't have that, you don't have anyone to close, you don't have anyone to coach. So like, it's identify what's the big problem in the business and just like obsess over fixing that. And if you get people who come in who you're not sure on, then you probably need to replace them.
Yeah, you get that vibe. We've learned our lesson on that as well.
You know very quickly if someone starts the first 5 days if they start well or not. Like we hired a new setter, actually who's working on my girlfriend's Instagram account. So like you're probably not going to last. You just know. So like we have other people we're interviewing. So you almost like constantly will have a pipeline of other people. You can just switch them in. But what actually happens when the rest of the setters see that happening, see you dropping people, moving people in and out, they start to perform because they know that they could be pushed out the door as well.
Yeah.
In your experience, is there like a specific amount of hours that you would get a setter to work, let's say before the quality of the work starts to deteriorate?
That's a really good question. In my opinion, I think someone could do 3-4 hours, give them an hour or 2 break, another 3-4 hours, but you can't do like 10 hours. Like no one here could sit there for 10 hours, you'd lose your mind, and then do it every single day.
So it would be better to have, let's say, 4 part-timers as opposed to, I don't know, 2
I wouldn't do that, because then you've got more people to manage, which means you've got more problems. Okay. So from hindsight, for a lot of people, is you get more issues. So ideally what you want to have is less people who are like weapons and rock stars, who you can just have really high output. And then I would just try and incentivize them based upon what they want as personality. So like if you have a business, one of the most important things I would do when you've got a team is make an organizational chart, and I'd write under each person's name, like what's the value of the thing that drives them. So for some people, it's money. For some people, it's getting to travel and go to events. For some people, it's like status of like having a higher job role or whatever it might be, or some form of authority. If you can identify that, it's then easier to manage that person and position them. But when you have a lot of different people, it's almost a game of, I'm not saying like dealing with children, but it's like you're a bit like a teacher trying to like get everyone balanced, because you'll find, particularly with salespeople and setters, they go off the ball and on the ball depending on what's going on, how good the month is. I wouldn't have loads of part-time people, because if you've got part-time people, they're part-time attitude. So ideally you want people who are all in and have as many people who are full-time as possible, rather than people who do a bit of this, to do a bit of that, and a bit of everything.
You encourage like split shifts? Or
What's that, sorry?
you'd encourage split shifts?
Personally, I would, because the problem with, like in an ideal scenario, I'd have everyone working in an office and I'd be there and I could be like, you could just see everyone's, like, there's no escape, right? But the problem is when people are working remotely, if you give them 8 hours solid, are they going to piss around and have 45 minutes for lunch? Probably. Like, they're not going to sit there for 8 hours. Like, I can't sit and do 8 hours solid on my laptop. So I would probably just give them 4 hours, hour or 2 break, 4 hours, something like that.
That whole stuff's a game changer.
What's that, sorry?
That whole stuff's a game changer.
Yeah, help. There's no hiding. But this is the most important thing for in your business is 2 things. One is getting like an end of day Loom video of like what they've done that day, and report in terms of like, this is how many outbound messages I've done. And then Hubstaff is another one, which basically is like a screen recording app that will track how many hours and what they're doing every day.
Track everything.
Dude, like it's like Big Brother stuff. And transparently, if you have part-time people, like what you'll find when you bring in a new system to people. They're like, well, I'm not doing this. I was like, well, you can go work somewhere else. Like, because the reality is people who are going to have resistance to these things aren't doing their job properly, which is why they're not performing. Whereas if someone was doing everything they're supposed to do every single day, they're going to be more than happy. Like, cool, you can track wherever you want. I'll give you all the reports.
So we hired two at the same time. Two, you could just tell straight away. One was doing everything bang on, another was doing videos.
One wasn't even getting the
But I think I said that you'd hire 2 people, right?
That was only,
Yeah.
That was only 4 days in, and right, we sacked them off.
Yeah.
you could tell straight away on that one. But yeah, for us as well, it's really, it's like training the setters. Like that's like the biggest thing that I think I'm struggling with, because like for me, like I'm still trying to make sure that I'm getting it right myself. And I think what I've found is that it's a very different kind of success rate based on if it's somebody that's just followed you
Where they come from.
and an ad, or if it's somebody that's been looking at you for some time.
Yeah.
Because like I'm interested to know, like, out of the links that you send out for people to book a call on chats, and you go through the process and tick all the boxes, like how many should you be expecting to actually like book a call in? Because I find that even when I'm going through all the boxes, I'm like really trying myself to master it, to make sure that I've got it before giving it to the BAs. Even when I'm going through all the boxes, ticking it off, like yes, I've got the pain points, yes, I've got the time that they've struggled for, ticking all that off, I'm sending the link out and they're not booking in, or like if they are booking in, they're coming on the call and they're instantly asking, how long is it going to be, what's the price? Sorry, I've just gone.
No, but this is the whole point. This is going to different things.
The issue that I'm having at the minute is because I really want to know how to get this properly right, and also like whether this is the case for everybody, that a new follower or somebody who's replying to an ad, it's just like a very much like, are they going to book in? And if they do book in, it's like, it's not going to be the best kind of lead.
I would explain it as like a cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have to, and it's like if you have a sales call with someone who's followed you for 3 years, it's like, oh, I absolutely love everything you do. This is amazing. Like, you know, it's going to be fairly seamless. If you've got someone who's just like, you dragged off the internet from an advert the day before, very, very different concept, like completely different game. And that's where you have to accept that the conversions will be a lot lower. But what will also happen, as long as you've got the tagging and Meta Business Suite and stuff like this, that over a period of time, a lot of these people who like you send a call, like book a link to, who drop off the face of the earth, 3 months later they reappear and like, oh, I actually really need your help now. But like, as long as you keep like putting the right content out, you share social proof. Like one of the sayings I keep saying to myself all the head at the moment is more proof, less promises. So a lot of people want to try and like sell shit, whereas if you just literally show the like success of your clients and like story tell, like that will pull people in, because they'll be like, that client's exactly like me.
Yeah.
I need this.
Yeah. Like, the good news is like obviously the last, like we weren't really doing much ads before the last sort of 2 weeks, and I've just really stepped up on the ads, and I'm doing kind of like the box that you said, with the SMS ads, the boosted posts, and like I've never had so many conversations going on in the chats, and so many people like, wanting help and needing help. It's just that I think I had an expectation of thinking that, boom, these chats are in now, like I'm going to get them straight onto a call, close these people in. But I think what I need to know is that, like these people that are following now, it might not be their time. Even if we have this chat now, it might be that in another 3 months' time, they're there and we can, continue at that point.
Paying to bring them into your own.
Yeah.
And that's the big point, is just following up.
Yeah.
Like the most important thing is
Learning,
following up.
Like the followers that I've seen, like one of my posts the other day, so it was like 50 people a follower. My followers are going up like massively, and it was stagnant for ages, so it 100% works. It's just more like knowing how to, the expectation that you have with it.
And that's why they say that some of the people who are in with like more earlier businesses, paid ads is not the silver bullet that's going to like change everything. Like it's something that definitely works and scales, but you have to have like proof of concept and a certain amount of success, and you have to be able to be like, not carry spending a bit of money, but I've probably spent, I don't know, lost $6,000 or something the last 6 weeks on YouTube ads where I've been testing stuff. It's fine, because I can like test it and try and get it to work. But you have to be okay of like, okay, that didn't work. But eventually you'll get the thing to work, and then you can start to scale it up. And if it was as easy as like, I press this big red button and I like have my inbox full of leads and we sell those people, then everyone could do it. So it's also the process of just like narrowing that down. But the thing with the paid ads is that the long-term revenue on the back end you see is huge, because if you say you pull something, like I could give a really good example. A client who we pulled in from paid ads called Mali, maybe in 2020 or 2021. We've probably coached him 3 or 4 years. He's maybe referred 10 people in Dubai. Like, you can start to pull people in, but then the knock-on effect, if that client comes in, your business is great, you get a great result with them, they recommend a friend, like, you can't even quantify the return on that sometimes.
Yeah. With the SMS ads, I'm just interested to know, like, do you see like direct success from that? Like, because I've had quite a few people messaging the keyword of the SMS ad, but then it always seems to be that they're just kind of like, they're asking like, is there a fee, or like, oh, what's your price? Just constantly asking that.
Okay, so
do you see direct success from those people, or is it again like they come into your world as a nurture situation and then eventually
you can get lucky and get one who's like, yeah, I'm in, and you'll get those, and you're gonna get some you're gonna have to nurture. But this is why I would try and, like, ads is about numbers and stacking the numbers in your favor. So like from paid traffic, the numbers I would really look as a minimum. What's your program price from the top of my head?
2,300 for 6 months.
Yeah.
Sorry, how much?
2,300 for
Okay.
6 months. 3,200 for 12 months.
How much for 12?
3,200.
Okay, so 12. Okay, so for example, the KPI I would look as like good for if you're running messenger ads, like if it's the right demographic, is under £10. So like that's the max give or take, like genuinely look at and be like, okay, that's okay. And then if I was looking at call booked, again, I would look at roughly £100. So we can get 1 in 10 to book, then that's a pretty good ratio. But let's say, for example, if you spent, let's say you spent £3,000 on ads, you would then be getting 30 calls booked. If you had 30 calls booked and say half of them showed up, and then so that's 15, could you close 1 in 15 for 3-2? So like that's like roughly the way I would look at that. It's just stacking the deck in your favor in terms of that. And you're not gonna get everyone come through this, and obviously you have to have some leeway with that. So if anyone's gonna run SMS ads, follower campaigns, like be really granular in terms of looking at like a couple of different things. So one would be like follower quality. So what does that mean and how would I do that? So I would literally go into my Instagram feed and literally just look at the new followers. Like, what are the names? Are these the type of people who are the people we can actually sell to? The other thing I would look at is the countries they're coming from, the ages, and then cost per follower. Generally, if it's under 50p, is good if you're going to run like boosted campaigns. You could go higher than that, and that's roughly what I'd say. But this type of ad style that works really well in fitness isn't you can't be super analytical in terms of like this is the direct ROI. There's an element of some leeway, but if you can know, for example, the ROAS, like for your webinar, I think your running was like 5x or something. So I would definitely just spend more. So like if you know roughly where you're at in terms of the return on investment, it's like, hey, we just need to spend more into this, and you should see the revenue start to grow. Does that answer some of the paid ad stuff as well?
Yeah, I think it's helped me as well, because like I was starting to think, am I doing something wrong here in the chat? It's like, why are people just not locking in? Like I'm ticking all the boxes, I certainly am, but it's just because these followers, they're just new followers, like they've not actually like been nurtured enough yet. And I noticed that if I have the same sort of chat flow with somebody that does follow me and has followed me for some time, it's a different game. They're in the call, and it's an easier sale.
I think it's just like, we've all just started.
Yeah, we're just starting.
Just starting out, so it's like there's nothing to compare it with.
Yeah.
It's like maybe 4 months goes by and you go, everything's going on.
Okay, Michael?
I think we were like that as well, like we were getting lots of followers and one book in, but we just really doubled down on follow-ups and like met track on business and actually having a Dave's account doing, I can't get crazy follow-ups in there, it's like 800, even more. I'm doing 200 or 300 of mine, and you will see the conversation starting to creep in then. If the dudes have booking calls for the follow-ups, like we've seen massive increasing our call booking rate, just in follow-ups.
Yeah.
What would you say is a rough guesstimation is your buying cycle, for example, in terms of a lot of people end up buying 3-4 months later after initially inquiring, right?
When, like, I see messages, even my own profile, like I only really like started pushing content on mine last year, and you know, I was messaging people there in February and March, and all of a sudden I have more followers, so like, oh my god, I really love your content, and then straight away I follow. Do you know what I mean? And the same one day, it's like these people that were following me 2 years ago. You know, and now that he's starting the farm, so like, fucking man, I know what you're doing, straight away, and they're way warmer, like, so, you know, it's just a compounding effect, like, it does pay off, like, in just getting them in, and obviously having the right type of people following you is important too. Like, and I often see it just cause there, like, you have a chat with someone, it's like, oh, I can say, oh, shit, look, I didn't even know who you were last week. Do you know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, do you know what I mean? It's a very different call. Whereas if you're on someone that's like, it's like, love this stuff. And the only problem is for you is just trying to get the logistics and then get into the program. Do you know what I mean?
Would you then at that point put off the call and then wait until they're kind of more cooked before you book them in?
Like what we do, like we do get objections, like, and for ourselves, like the biggest thing is for us is we work with a lot of people that are very overweight, and belief is a massive thing. So we're not like crazily hard on them with objections, but we will have follow-up calls with them following week, and make sure like we will get people that will book in again, and they will jump on. It might take a few days to think about it, something like that, but that has helped too. But like there is people that have calls with already, and they're like, right, I'm ready to go, you know. So like there is, the nurturing is important too, and the content is the nurturing part of it, like, you know, the content really does nurture them. And obviously, like Charlie said, they are sharing the client results and talking about your story more so on the story. And that's another thing I wanted to say, Charlie, is like the close friend strategy. Like, how can we push that now to make?
Okay, we'll come into that. That was actually something I was going to mention to you, Alfie. So you get a lot more story views, right?
Dave showed me there, like he did it there, and he went like from getting 7,000 to like 14,500, which was crazy.
So what I see, so I've been testing around with this a little bit. So I know we're jumping all over the place, but it's all fairly congruent. That's why the page's not working. So my main account, or two things. So my main account with 500,000 followers, I think we had, when I first posted, we had like 118,000 people added as close friends. We've now got 250,000 or something. That took our story views 5-6x up, but what I also noticed, it then pushed people to then go and watch the other stories that weren't with close friends. So what I would do with this, and what I've noticed is really interesting, is the first story on close friends has to be super engaging. Like yesterday, I posted a podcast first and linked to it, story views were terrible, which is like the same thing as if you normally post something that's not that engaging, your views will drop. So, okay, that's interesting. It doesn't just blanketly push people out. So you still need to make sure the first story on close friends is really engaging. What I've noticed is if you make the first story on close friends really engaging, if you put 2 to 3 salesy things afterwards, is fine. And then if you put something on like the main stories, like I think I did some like training stuff or whatever, like those get loads of views as well. So if you can get that first close friend story really engaging, or have a call to action or something people DM in for, you'll get a lot more traffic into it. You can then do 2-3 sales posts, and then your normal stories will then get way more views. The other thing that I found useful for this is on our second Instagram account, 7-Figure Scaling Systems, we've maybe up to 3,500 followers, but he also has added suggested friends to close followers. We have 7,000 people in that now who are our target market. So that's getting pushed out. So that's the way I've been testing using it. What I would also do is if you've got other accounts, other social media platforms, like the reason I did the podcast yesterday, I'm trying to pull people out of that social media account and distribute them into podcasts, YouTube, other Instagram accounts, so I can push people into the other platforms that maybe they haven't seen yet. So A, you're spreading risk, but you're also getting more traffic to them from somewhere else. So that's really what we've been doing that.
And like, would you go with the very first story, a hard call to action, or would it be kind of like...
Not necessarily a sales one. If you're going to do a sales one, I would just do one post as one story, and that's the thing. If it's like I'm looking for 5 farmers who want to get shredded or whatever, I would just do that as the one thing. But if you were going to post something that's like, do you want a free copy of our farming fat loss guide, blah, 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 like, as an example, that would work to get a lot of inbound messages that would then drive the story views up. Instagram would see this is getting a load of engagement. Let's open this up to everyone. And then you could put some, like maybe direct social proof selling stuff afterwards. Like the big thing I see with stories, if you can get the first one engaging, it pushes it out to everything else, and then the others will get a lot more views. For anyone with a bigger audience, I'd say this is a no-brainer because, like you said, you're massively boosting your story views and your reach. Like, I'd put a story up that I'd got like 600 inbound messages. We broke like Meta Business Week because we couldn't fucking tag the thing fast enough. So like for you, Alfie, that might be something that's a good option. So yeah, I think, and it's, having done online marketing for a while, you get things that you can milk for a period of time. This has probably got 6 months in it, might have longer, but the first to market can really take advantage of it very, very quickly.
The only thing I'm thinking about myself, like, is I've done a mic on Dave has done it. Do you think people is that muting your account?
I don't think so, but then the people who're going to mute your account aren't going to buy from you anyway.
Yeah.
So like loads of people have unfollowed our accounts,
Yeah.
but they're probably like shit people who, like, it's pointless having them anyway. Jason?
If you don't have a huge following, is it still worth your while just going in and putting everybody in?
Okay, so you tried to do that, didn't you, Mark? Manually add people to close friends.
I just had my set, I said you could do it.
Yeah, but then it got blocked, right? Yeah. So you can't do it with repetitive actions on the thing.
Just for context, what's the close friends?
Okay, so basically, a hack I found was that you could get close friends. If you basically had people in close friends, you get like 4 or 5 extra story views. You basically get pushed to the front of people's stories. They come up with a green ring around it. So obviously, we're basically all in the traffic game of like, how can I get more people to view my stuff? So we've got a guy called Omar who gets a bot basically onto the account, adds everyone into close friends. Depending on the size of the account, it takes a while, can take a while, like a couple of days or whatever. But it's basically a hack of how you can re-engage your Instagram account and get more story views.
You will put everyone in close friends. Okay.
But you said it got blocked when you did it.
No, because he tried to do it manually. Because if you went on Instagram and tried to follow 100 people, like bam, 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 or like you DM'd 100 people, like it's not going to let you do it. Don't ask me how he does it, I have no idea.
And do you pay for this? Do you pay for this?
Yeah, it's £1,500 I think he charges for it. But we've done it on all of our accounts, and it's like, it reminds me of like when I first started social media, like 2016. I was like, you just post stuff and then everyone views it. I'm like, well, this is fucking like.
Yeah. Okay.
So would it be worth your while then probably going through your leads, who's hot, and putting them in your close friends? Let's say if you weren't gonna use
I wouldn't, because I think it's more hassle than it's worth at that point. Like it's just complicated because it's like, how do I know who's a good lead, who's not? And then if you're posting stuff that's going to close friends, then other people aren't seeing that, I wouldn't bother. Now in this section of the video, we talk about program pricing, the actual easiest way to scale and how we help a lot of clients to make a lot more money very, very quickly is actually just tweaking their pricing model in terms of length of programs they sell, how big their price points are. And this is where a lot of people don't have an analytical mind when they look at their business. And it's like chess, not checkers. You have to look where the numbers are and how we can tweak certain percentages to increase not just revenue, but most importantly, profit. Because we have to remember, revenue feeds the ego, but profit feeds the family. Okay, so Dave, oh sorry, thank you, Dave. Michael, sorry.
Can I ask one maybe Michael?
Yeah.
Another bottleneck we have is we run 2 programs, one's down here and the other one's high ticket. And high ticket is exclusive one-to-one access with Dara. So she spends too much time on that in coaching and coaching calls, individual coaching calls. So I'm just asking Michael here, how do you move out of that, or what's the best way to move?
That's a good question.
That's really on she's hand holding.
Yeah. What, remind me what the price and deliverables are for that.
6K
For how long?
for 6 months.
And what do they get for that?
They get pretty much, I have an assistant who goes in and checks their food diaries every day, gives them feedback the first month, and they get a weekly check-in call, but they also get a one-on-one induction with me for an hour before they start.
So weekly check-in calls.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, I would definitely not do that. But I bet you hate it. Like,
How do you move that? How do you move that?
do they all attend all the weekly check-in calls?
Not all, about 50%.
I would move them to monthly and be like, if they want them, the coach can, your assistant can take them. Like definitely going forwards, I wouldn't do any weekly because that's, and then what I would do is I'd try and time block them together of like, sounds weird to say, but like the way I look at even my week with like managing meetings in our business, is like Monday I just sacrifice for meetings day. It's like, how many can I just put back to back to back of meetings and team organizational stuff? I would almost do the same thing from a fulfillment point of view. It's like, okay, maybe the first Tuesday and Thursday afternoon of the month, I'm just going to hammer as many of these coaching calls as I can, and then you're free for the next 3 weeks to actually focus on building the business.
Yeah.
What's the loyalty? What's the loyalty one? How much is that one?
It's 2.5K for 6 months.
Would you not rather increase that and then bring yourself out of the bigger one?
Well, at the minute we're selling more one-to-ones, more high-end. Yeah,
But your avatar want the one-to-one, but I would frame it as like, even if you made a group call you did, and then if they need to, they can book a call with a coach and they get 1 call a month with you.
Yeah.
That would be a better way to do it. Because they don't need a call every week, in my opinion.
I think that's one challenge we have, because we have one program and we just do 1 year, in for the year, that's it. We don't do monthlies, we don't do 6 months, we used to, I stopped all of it. Now we're after bringing in 2 more coaches and 1 part-time coach, so they're going to be on the sidelines now, we have to fill them. And that's a conversation I was having with Dave, or do we actually have to, try to get the upfront 3K, but then if they can't go with that, right, we'll give you a monthly and just fill up them coaches with clients, but we don't really want to do that because we don't want to have the stress and the headache and the admin of fucking strike cancellations and all that. Like.
We don't have that either, you see, we're the same, we're all encompassed like.
It creates a lot more complexity, but you can make a lot more money.
Yeah.
And in particular, when you guys are moving more into paid stuff, a lot of it sometimes is about liquidating ad spend. The problem you have to watch out for is if you start, like Closer can offer $250 a month, as an example, is you'll see some of them starting to default to trying to sell that because they just want to get someone over the line.
We found that when we do offer that, or when there's panic times or lean times, right, we'll go with a lower offer, or we'll go for a staggered payment. The quality of the client decreases. If you pay up front, there's more skin in the game.
Well, you're naturally going to get that, right?
And your close seller, your sales advisor, they will go for the lower one in order to get sale.
That's why you have to be very careful with how you do that. One thing you could potentially do is almost tier the closers. So if you've got a new guy, someone who's less skilled than the other ones, maybe respectfully give them the weaker leads, and then give them a bit more flexibility. But the other guys, you're only allowed to sell 3K. Like Michael, I know you're 6, so you just sell 3Ks.
And that's for a year?
Yeah, for the year, 3K. And that's another thing, like we went, it's very easy, it's not expensive at all, and it's upfront, which is a challenge, but we're kind of wanting to bring that up to, we'd like to get that up to 5K for the year, and do 3K for 6 months, but we probably, like, Instagram is a hard place to find that. There's a lot of shit calls there, and like, there is some that will do splits, but we're thinking like try and maybe push a little bit more into LinkedIn, which you haven't really done yet. Podcast, yeah.
I said that. So the long form stuff is like the scale where your business, like the traffic guys that that's Dave's job is like make stuff, right? Because when you have people who are also coming from ads who need warming up, if you can get them into podcasts, YouTube videos, all this other type of stuff, that's selling for you basically constantly and creating trust and reducing like sales resistance. You closer management, Michael, what more specific on that?
So scaling the team now, like we brought in a coach only 2.5 months ago, he's up on 100 clients already. We still haven't scheduled time for meetings every week with our team.
Perfect.
Everything's just all over the place. We have 2 rock star setters that are just, they probably do 14 hours straight. They're incredible.
One of them's the Eastern European guy, right?
Both from Romania.
There you go.
And I've, on my account, I've a Filipino setter that's been with us for the last 3 years. He's kind of like old. So he's just still with us, but he's on my account. But I think for ourselves now is a structure in the week that we have actually teams, meetings, and how to structure those meetings that, as Charlie said, we're aligning what we want them with what they want in their values, and I suppose knowing how to make sure we keep the quality of the service at a good standard, because that's one thing when we are dealing with quality, we try to keep everything to a high standard, and that's one thing that we haven't, I suppose, a bit of fear over, and Dave still does, as you were saying, they're getting out of coaching, he still does the 2 main time calls every week on Thursdays and Sundays. That's the only coaching he does, and people love that. He kind of comes on he's kind of like Tony Robbins coming on. And they love that, but we want to be part of it too. We don't. It's obviously being out of delivery, you have to be out of delivery, but we just want to make sure we keep the quality of the service there. Like.
Okay. The most important thing, you need, and everyone in this room, if you've got a VA or a setter, is like VA lead gen meetings every single day. So like, you literally hate money if you're not doing this. This is the most important thing you need to do. If you've got someone who's handling your DMs, same time every single day, speak to them. And you should have numbers in terms of reporting of like, what did they do yesterday in terms of how many outbound messages, how many replies did they get, how many follow-ups did they do, how many calls did they get booked. And then I would review those on that call and then basically ask them like, what more can I do to help you? And ask them for feedback from content, like what's coming in, what's working. I'll constantly ask our VAs like, how did that story perform? What did this do? What's this doing? Like, if I'm boosting this reel, are you noticing better followers coming through? Like, ask for feedback. Tom?
Would you do that in the team call? Would you do that
Separate.
one-on-one?
No, yeah, I would do that as a team. So that's going to be, if you've got more than one setter, you want to have them all together.
Yeah.
Like, all together. And get all of them to speak up. Because what you'll find is there's like, so you've got 5 people, normally it's like 2 people want to talk, and a lot of them sit in the back. And this is also one of the problems culturally, if you have Filipino VAs, like you can't, it's difficult to build a culture around that because they don't understand Western culture and they difficult to really get like G'd up. Ben?
What's up? Do you do that call in the morning?
Ideally I would do it before they start. So do it at the same time before they start the shift. You have a question?
Well, look, it's kind of like, so one thing I'm always told between, so when I'm on a team call, do you feel like it's okay to, let's say the performance isn't good enough from a setter or a closer, it's okay to kind of
rail them
on the call in front of everyone else, or?
Within reason a little bit. So one of the things I'm a big believer is you praise people in public, but you criticize them in private. Okay. So like, I had to call our lead gen team leader out this other day because he called out our main closer on not doing his EOD report in the group, and I was like, you know when you see something, oh, for fuck's sake. So I was messaging him, I was like, don't put stuff like that in there. If you've got an issue with someone, like message them directly, because also it puts like a negative connotation in the team. So I would try not to criticize people in public amongst other people and just pull them up on it. Like ideally, you don't really want to publicly slate people. Sometimes it's hard, like people do dumb stuff.
I've got a question about the paid in full that some of you guys are doing. So they'll do like a year or 6 months. And then what do you guys do after that? Do you have another call and resell them, or do you go straight onto monthly?
Lower back end for them. So you make it, we've always found in our business anyway, that we make it so irresistible for them to pay up front, that, you know, it's so expensive then to do a monthly. So we like, for instance, at the minute we ran a webinar there at the end of the month, and we did an offer. We actually basically put the price of the programme from 2.5k up to 3k, give them a £500 discount and a month free.
Right.
So we were getting 2.5k. We were getting on month our income, our revenue was increasing, and we sat them at that. And then the monthly back end then is much lower. So I tend to sell it for them on a year. When I'm talking to them, I say this is going to take a year. This is the price. But here's the way we can fracture it down. But I think we find that getting a chunk up front, you get better buy-in, you get less churn, they're more likely to stay on, because if you have a good coaching service, they're going to stay. And the program's easier for them because you're stretching.
Was your question right as well, that their lifetime staying
We're
longer?
at the same point now where it's like, we've not really thought about it. We used to be on the call and it's like, right, we used to do 3 months and it goes straight into 297 whatever. So they kind of knew that, but now this new one, because we don't really, because you're talking quite a big bit of money, 6 months and 12 months, you don't really want to talk about the next phase, so you just get them in. So we've been saying, right, it's 12 months, it's free too, no problems. But then when it's coming into it now, kind of like, do we do monthly or do we do a cheaper 6 months kind of thing?
Yeah.
We give both offers, so a few weeks before they're due to end, we would try and nurture them to stay on. We give them a very attractive upfront 3-month offer,
Right.
as opposed to a much more expensive monthly recurring.
Yeah.
So if you get money, again, you get money upfront.
It's always better getting
And,
Yeah.
you know, it's seamless because you've been with them for 6 months anyway, so,
Make it irresistible
you
for
know,
them.
it all
I
really
think for us
attractive.
it's, we do that. So we have like some clients that will, you know, just do the monthly recurring, and then we have some that we come to it and we're like, let's kind of like sell them a package to do it again, where it's like another 6 months or another year. But the only thing is, it's more of it's hard to stay on top of all that. Like when you've got some that do monthly, some that are like doing a package for 6 months. It's like we're finding it a bit difficult to kind of like keep up to date with which person's coming to the end of it, which package and that sort of thing. That's the only thing that we're having, especially if we're getting more clients in now, really scaling up. That's something that I am struggling with a little bit.
Scalability would probably be just like sign a contract and after 6 months you go straight to monthly money.
So essentially that's what we do, is we would have, say someone comes in, they pay 12k, sorry, they pay 3k, I'd love them to pay 12k, pay 3k for 12 months. At the end of the 12 months, it automatically goes into 250 a month. And then what we'll try and do is the coaches basically get commission if they can try and upsell the client and get them to pay up front again. And the way we would frame that is that, say, probably month, like 8 weeks maybe beforehand, you want to start pushing of like, this is where you're at now. This is what we should, like, say you're in November. Okay, so let's maybe go into like a bit of a lean bulk phase, and then come springtime, we can get you dieted, and you look sick when you're on holiday in the summer. So you're selling them the dream of what they want. And then like 2-3 weeks later, you're like, oh, we've actually got this offer, your program's coming up for renewal. Like, do you want to do this in terms of if you do another year up front, we can offer you X, Y, Z, maybe free access to this event, like pad it out with some like bonuses to make it look like a no-brainer. And if they say no, like, okay, cool, no worries, you can just go into pay monthly. Because the big goal of what you want in particular when you come into more paid ads is to like increase the lifetime value of a customer, because you've already paid to bring that person into your business. So if you can pull more revenue out of them, you've already paid to get that person in. So at that point, they're quite cheap to fulfill, like relatively. So you just want to see like almost, not what can you get, but how can you extend that out more?
Are you just selling it through messaging?
I would try and get the coach to do it on a call. Almost like, yeah, so like.
Sorry, the coach is more involved than so they can sort of drip from 4, 3, 2, 1.
Set up as a review coaching call.
That's what it is.
Before they finish to Zoom.
Yeah, we used to do it where it just went straight into the monthly, and then to be honest, it kind of like triggered a lot of clients. Even though we told them at the start, they were like, "Oh, I've just seen this coming out of my account. Like, can you cancel this? But you didn't tell me about this." It's like, well, we told you at the start, but then, like for us, we've just found that it's working so much better for the coach and the client when they have that reconnect call at that time when it's going to be the time to make that change, because the coach gets to have the feedback of how they're feeling, and then they get to set in place the goals ahead and really like expand their vision. So I think like for us, to be honest, like it's worked really well keeping those calls with the clients.
Yeah. 100%.
I hop on them myself at the moment, but I'm just thinking for the future, like probably a bit of a ball ache while I'm scaling. So I feel like if I have a head coach or a coach to
But I would even say that you shouldn't be doing it now, because it looks obvious that they're going to get. They're like, if they spoke to you at the beginning and they sold you.
It was that, mate, exactly. People on the call, they were like, why are you speaking to us?
Yeah, but like.
Well.
But yeah, it's like a setup, right? So it's like. Like if you bought a 6-month program, they're like, oh, 5 months in, you're going to speak to Alfie again. Like.
I still like, I'm involved in the group chat.
Yeah.
I message everyone here and there, so it works.
But the number one reason, well, 2 reasons like clients will stay on is 1, they get results, and 2, they actually have a relationship with the person they're coaching. The number 1 reason I see people's business have shit retention is there's no relationship between the coach and the client. And if you can build that, they're like, oh, well, I really like Dan, like he's really cool. I'll just stay and do another year. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I just have a question back to the kind of VAs and
Yeah.
centres. I think the biggest thing for me with the reporting today is probably not being so consistent with it, but I think that's also knowing what kind of structure that they should be filling in. If it's like how many followers, how many messages per day, like what do you kind of suggest on that when you're doing the call? Because I think that's something we definitely need to do and I want to do more of.
So the best book in the world, and I read it, and I was like, this is a bit boring and not very exciting, is, and then if anyone hasn't listened to it, I did a podcast with a guy called Eric Spofford, and he took his business from 20 million to 55 million in a year. And I was like, okay, like, what did you do? He's like, I got the book traction, I implemented it. And I was like, okay, I might do that. And then he sold the business for like $120 million. So basically that whole book breaks down in terms of like scorecards, reporting, all that type of stuff. So it's really good for anyone who's in operations. That's like your holy grail. Traction by Gino Wickman. They have a whole series of books. They also do courses and stuff like that. I'm actually sending Aidan to one in London, I think, at the end of this month, like workshops in terms of like operations and things. So what I would look for them to do is they have to send the report like when they finish a shift at the end of the day. I would look at how many outbound messages they've done, how many follow-ups, actually how many outbound messages, how many replies like from those messages, how many follow-ups, how many calls did you book, You could get them to track how many followers you're picking up every day if you want to. Those would be the main metrics I would look at from them.
And with Hubstock, can you use that on the phone? I know you can use
Yeah.
it before, but phone as well.
There's a phone app, I'm sure.
You said you wouldn't recommend to hire Filipino because they don't connect with us.
In an ideal scenario, if you had a Filipino who was good or a European person who speaks perfect English who's good, who's going to be better? The European person. I'd also say that, and this is, I think someone else mentioned they had a Filipino VA who's worked for you for a long time. We've got a guy called John who I don't even know how he does it. He works like 12 hours a day in the night shift for them, and he's worked for us like 4 years. Amazing, like the steady Eddie, like great. But we've had probably 10 who are terrible. So it's like maybe more. Like we just like the amount of money I probably lost from hiring shitty fucking Filipinos is awful for that. So I would say ideally try and get European, British. We've got a lot of South Africans we're hiring. Our best sitter is actually Romanian. We get a lot of people from Eastern Europe. The other problem is you have people from the Philippines. What's the best time of day for booking calls? The evening, the middle of their night, because of the time difference. And if you're going to target the US, it's even worse. So that's the downside sometimes you have to look at. It's like the staff I have, how can I get them to work the best for me? And one of the things I actually found probably this year, which I never was really obvious in hindsight, is I was like, oh, it's really cool. You've got a team everywhere with people in like Mexico, Philippines, like wherever. It's actually really dysfunctional because no one's on anywhere near the same time zone. So the delay is massive in getting anything done.
So being recommended by Danny,
Yeah.
specific agency, they work with South Africans.
Yeah.
So
I would advise doing that because also they're on the same time zone as well. In my opinion, I don't know if you've been to South Africa, but like when you play rugby, I played rugby with loads of South African people. They're very, very driven. They're very hardworking. They come from difficult backgrounds. Also, you don't have to pay them much transparently compared to paying someone from the UK because the cost of living is a lot less.
that's his VAs are very cousins. So.
I would say in terms of best places I found for hiring is South Africa, Eastern Europe, and maybe Ireland. I don't know, Irish guys seem way more salesy and driven and entrepreneurial and like want to do online stuff than British people.
I'm sorry, I don't have a VA or never have any experience with it, so what's the most that you think you would pay a VA?
Varies obviously depending on what they're gonna do. So like Filipino VAs you can pay $5 an hour. South African VAs you can often pay $5 an hour. So it depends where they're coming from. So one of the things I would even look at doing when you're looking to hire anyone, like if you Google, say you've got, I wouldn't do this. We had a load of VAs from Pakistan. It was terrible. They ended up working for us, and then someone else who was actually a client who joined this, which is another story. So this is why I can give advice. All these stupid things have happened. If you Google, like for example, what's the average salary in Pakistan? $300-400 a month, but your VA is making $2,000. You're like, well, you're earning like. So that's what I would always look at things like that. But when it comes to hiring anyone, I'd always ask like, okay, so what are you looking for, Caesar? Like, what do you want to earn? Because a lot of the time, people will actually ask for a lot less than you're going to want to give them. And if they ask for more, then you can just realign it and explain why. I would always look to try and do some form of commission structure or sales-based structure with that, with a slightly lower base, and then they're incentivized to perform. Because the way you frame it is you want everyone to win together. So like I've hired someone to come in and help us in terms of optimizing our sales team more. And I was like, dude, I actually want to pay you loads more. So it's like, if we hit this goal, I'll give you an extra 10-15 grand. Like, because I want him to be like on it massively and super motivated. And it's the same thing in terms of for everyone here. If you've got setters, is you want them to be super motivated. So like, sometimes if it's slow, we're not booking as many calls as I want, I'll be like, okay, the next person who books a lead like X, Y, Z, I'll give you $100. And they're like, fucking like, they're off. So you want to try and create that competitive environment, which is the problem when you have sometimes Filipinos, not in a disrespectful way, but they don't have that type of cultural drive about them sometimes.
Do you think it's worthwhile having like sellers and VAs on your account 24/7?
At your scale, yes.
Because we do see a gap like from 11:30 at night, 12 o'clock at night till the following morning. Like.
And when they come on, is there loads of messages sitting there?
Like we try not like maybe 4 or 5 hours might be the max waiting.
How many messages are sitting there?
I'm not sure the exact numbers on Dave's account. but you would be definitely drawn, like if you're boosting and you have the Fit Farmer ads, there's definitely,
Okay.
that's all running, there's definitely a lot.
And I'll show how, I like to show how like I think about stuff like this, is, do you know how many how many sales calls you booked last month? And this is where like we spoke about maths when it comes to ads. This is similar when it comes to decisions like this. Because a lot of businesses decision making like, should I hire this person? This is worth doing.
Yeah. Well, we're booking, I'd say, easily close. Goal is we're aiming to be doing at least 15 calls a day, if possible.
How many did you do total for August? And what was your front end revenue for August?
Front end revenue is about, like cash collected.
Yeah, like paid.
115, wasn't it?
150.
15.
Okay, cool.
That was collected.
And then, do you know how many calls you booked total last month? I might have it on the check-in you guys sent. Because this is going to give you a very good number, which is essentially what's called your income per call booked. Now, when Michael has this number.
We booked 278 calls last month.
Okay.
And we, yeah.
Okay, and that's literally calls booked, whether they showed up or not, right?
Yeah, that was all bookings.
Okay, cool. I can't do that in my head, but okay. So, would you say if you had a VA in your account, they could book an extra call a day, maybe in those 5 hours?
Oh, I'd say so, definitely, yeah.
Okay, how much do you reckon that would cost you
A VA,
for an extra 5 hours a day?
we got over 350 a month.
Okay, so you're making £413 per call booked. So like that would answer your question, because you can get one daily pay for himself.
Yeah, because like the closer we have now was the setter, like he was the VA, and now we brought in one, and he's working around the clock, so like I don't know how he'll be able to keep that consistent, like, you know, like last month.
Yeah, but I said that to you before, it's too much.
Yeah.
Because at some point they'll get burnt out.
So you're working with your, what shifts is your centre currently on?
Literally from the time we get up to
To bedtime?
yeah.
And do they work GMT UK time, is it?
And they're 2 hours ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, so like they'd be probably like when it'd be 11 o'clock in Ireland, they'd be like fucking 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, like. And so like this last month they were still active till them hours, like, which was crazy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like what Charlie said, like the potential earnings that they can have with us is fucking 4x what they're earning for.
Yeah.
So like we spoke to them and initially talked to them and like they're like, well, I'm earning 1,000 a month. We're like, right, we'll match it after like a few days, straight in full time, do you know what I mean? So they are driven, they want to do it, but for ourselves now it's just being able to make it consistent, and we are reliant on the two of them at the moment, but we want to make sure that we can, I suppose, like even with the calls, like the back-to-back calls, like doing 15 calls, 11 calls in a day is crazy. Do you know what I mean?
Do you have 2 people on that?
Yeah.
2 days.
We have 3, like I do. We have 4, like we have 2 that are there full time. Then we have Dave, best quality, and then I'm there to do my own page as well.
Okay.
So like we had technically 4 closers, but just the times like we've only one that's literally all day. Do you know what I mean?
How's the do calls all day?
That's what I mean. Like we are changing now because it's getting messy in the sense that like
Stuff will get missed.
it's not getting missed, but it's actually like you know yourself. If you call it about 50, 60 minutes.
Yeah,
like
YouTube.
you're onboarded, straight payment taken, you're not 10 minutes over, like.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and maybe create a window and maybe give it an hour and 30 per call. But we'll see. We'll probably implement that this month because you know people notice that you're rushing them on the call too, like. You know.
And it's uncomfortable for you when you're trying to sell people at that point as well.
I felt that like you know like one Saturday I had like 6-7 calls in a row there and. I had a fucking 5th or 6th call. I wasn't at the best.
Seriously.
Just kind of like it was 7 more calls.
But you can see that's the decision framework in terms of how you look at things like that. Because it's then really obvious if like in day one you should pay for yourself.
Yeah. No, that's the same days page
Sorry, for the VA, do you pay a commission per call booked or per sale?
You do it on whatever's closed. So like the problem is if you you incentivize people for what you want in the business, so you want to make money, rather than like they'll just book shit calls in just to get people in.
Because currently I pay commission per sale.
Okay. Oh, like a flat rate per sale.
Yeah, so I don't actually pay them per hour. I only
Yeah, that's great.
commission.
You can't lose money on that.
Yeah, but it's not per call booked, it's per sale.
Yeah, no, that's better.
Okay.
Because they're not going to waste their time with.
Booking calls that are not good leads, yeah.
Because you want them to incentivize to go and find like the best lead who you can close.
Yeah.
Not just get like Steve from the pub on the phone. Do you know what I mean? Like we've all had calls. You're like, this is a fucking waste of time.
Like that's one thing. Like I've noticed like the Romanian clauses we have, like they are way better pre-qualifying. They can kind of click into the lingo of things much easier. Whereas the Filipino VA I have my account.
They don't see it.
You don't see it, yeah. It's just I don't know, is it maybe the Irish slang and stuff people use, like they spot if this person's a good quality lead or if it's just, you know, another person.
Well, they'd probably know if there's certain areas from Ireland if there's a good area or not.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone's, I don't know, if someone's from a less good area, do you know what I mean?
It's even an initiative, like, you know, like the amount of times that message there is like, and it'd be just, or Romanian VAs, and they just had the jobs in, it'd be like, ask us what's the salaries of that, what's the salaries of that, and you know, they want to know like what would be the potential earnings of those people so that they can have the best leads, so they're good that way as well. Like.
Do you include like an investment question on the links?
What we're doing now on Dave's page, just so many messages, we don't send a link, we just say what time suits you in the week, and he manually books them in.
So you don't get them to like fill in like.
We have the pre-qualification questions, like we go through a fair and tricky like messaging process before we book somebody in. Like.
They're basically doing the call, the questions on the call in the conversation, but then that's affected your sharp rates a bit in terms of the call being booked manually.
On my page I have questions and I just send them links on my page. I still do all the pre-qualification with the messaging, but I do send them the link and I have an investment question on it.
Right.
And to be honest, investment question, like, people there put 50 down and all of a sudden they're after giving 3k, like.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I wouldn't buy into it too much, like, you know, you'd see it on the call there, like, you know.
Well, the amount of times people will come on a sales call and say, I'm not buying anything, but then they pay at the end.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, like, you know.
I just put the minimum.
Yeah, but
I
even
don't
having
put like this, or this.
but even having a 500 and a 999, we found we've trialled all of this to the nth degree, and we've found that anybody under 500, we don't give them a link to book a call. At times we've sampled putting the link in to allow them to book a call, and I'd say 90% of the time, maybe more, this is really poor quality leads. So our conversion rate and our calls, our sales went up massively when we hyper tightened up the back end stuff. So we put a under 500 and an under 999. The under 999 really good success rate. Under 500, no.
And so do you still have those calls with people that select under 500?
No, we don't send them to an automated page. So we send them to an automated page with a video sales letter on it, and I talk them through. And even anybody who's under 999, they know, I basically say they have to start an investment. So they know that, and if they book a call, and then what's the video link? And they go, God, right, I don't have more than 999 here. Then they cancel the call. So it just means that your call booking is slicker. It's a higher conversion than when your closer's in there.
The thing I would look at, as I say, every niche is very different. So like the optimize to fix the problem you have. So if you don't have enough calls, I would like remove a lot of qualification just to let some leads through, and then you're like, okay, these guys are fucking terrible. Then we'll like start to put it back in again. So if you haven't got many calls, you're better off letting a few through and having a bit of a crack and feeling it out.
At the minute is that like we're having a lot of chats. There's a lot of people that want to book in. We're sending the links out, and then we're not really, even though we've gone in depth in the chats, like we've ticked all the boxes, like we're not really getting them to actually book the call. Like they send a link, they're not booking.
Yeah, I had that issue.
So
and
we
then
have an investment question, so I don't know if it's that.
I just switched to getting my setter to go on Calendly and book the call. Instead of just sending a link, we book the call. We just ask what's the best time available.
I think if there was no investment question in the call.
So what I would do is I would try it for a week, pull the investment question, see what comes through, and then make a call on the back of that. Because it really depends on like, yeah, so that's what I mean. It's like if you've got the time to take him, then great.
Obviously, if you want to drive a program, it's a paid service. Are you in a position to invest?
Establish that really quickly in the call.
Well, you know pretty quick. Like, someone comes on a call, you can see the background of where they are, like, do you know what I mean? Like what the clothes they're wearing. You can just tell straight away. You know instantly if they're like on like a Nokia 3310 phone or something, and it's like the internet's terrible, and you're like. And we've had people come on sales calls or in bed for like fitness programs, like it's just stupid shit. So it's like, yeah, and it's like, so you know straight away. But that's where a lot of these things are very specific to different businesses and different demographics. So like, I'd give it 5 to 7 days, just let them through and be like, okay. And like we've tried booking the calls in ourselves, and the sharp rate went through the floor. But then it works for some people, so I optimize the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah, he's got capacity, so
I think the reason we moved to manually booking them in was that we used to send in the message like, you'll be chatting to me or the team, and that used to really, I think, slow down the booking rate. Because like, oh, I won't be chatting with you.
that's another thing as well. That's another thing that I've had is that when I've said you'll be speaking to Mikey, our communications head, like you'll run through the program. It feels like I've said that, and I've just got.
So the way I'd frame that is you want to hype him up as much as possible. I would say he's your head coach, he's not, but like just ramp him up and be like, you can speak to Michael, he does X, Y, Z, he's super, super knowledgeable on X, Y, Z, he helped this client do Y. It will just give you a load of value, like just try and really, really pick him up.
Do you find like they're less likely to book if they know you're going to be talking to them on the close?
If they're a proper, yeah.
You didn't want to talk to your close.
Well, you were a referral, so that's why I took it. But yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that. And the way I would normally frame that is be like respectfully, Mark, I spent all my time working with my actual clients, not people who have joined a program. So if you speak to Michael, who explain how everything works, just give you a ton of value. If you think we're a good fit, then you can join, and then we'll be working one-to-one together. Does that sound fair? Like, because then anyone who's a competent human being will be like, okay, I understand that. Because if you've got a successful business, you're not going to speak to everyone like one-to-one, because there's not enough hours in a day.
If you don't address it, does it come up as a sour taste on the start of the call? Does it kind of set the sales call up for a bad?
What about the investment thing?
Yeah, no, as in if you don't address the fact that it's going to be somebody else in the call, if they think talk.
Yeah, 100%. That's like if they think it's going to be marketing and then you turn up on the call, it's
a bad start.
Yeah, you're like, well, fucking like.
Where do you address it then? Is it like
when the call's being booked? So when you get to the point, so when you get to the point the call's being booked, it'll be like, okay, awesome, Alfie. What I would do is just jump on with Jack. He's a head coach. He does X, Y, Z. He'll just give you a run of value. He'll run through what you mentioned in terms of issues with low testosterone, blah blah blah. Like, try and frame it like that, because the two big reasons people come onto the calls is, one, they trust and like you, and two, there's like some actual value for them and like a desire to get on there. And that's why sharp rates are bad, is when people are like, this just seems like bullshit, and like, who am I speaking to, and like, why is there an incentive for me to get on there? So if you can try and frame it well, which is why if you try and use the language the person has used earlier in the conversation about what their problem is, to then try and get them onto the call.
We've not really done like the manually booking calls in before.
I wouldn't do that for you. I would, where you're at, I would try pulling the price qualifier and just get them on the call, and then see if, are these mainly women?
Yeah.
Because
The guys it might be easy because Mike is a guy and stuff like that, but just get it kind of thing.
there's no issue men selling to women, but I think maybe some of the women coming through are a bit shy, and like they can find that intimidating. But if they come onto the call and then they're like relaxed, they see the value, and if you get them on a call, you've got a shot. And if you've got a closer, I'll be like, well, just like keep him busy.
Why wouldn't you do the manual?
From what I've seen, the sharp rate tends to drop, because it's less of a commitment for someone to go in and put their email address and like, yeah, I'm gonna do this time, we'll do this time.
Okay.
In section 3 of this video, we talk about training setters and how you need to put proof over promises. And this is the easiest way to get more clients to convert quicker. But like, in particular with cold traffic.
Yeah, with training VAs, I'm just interested to know like how everyone recommends to do it. So basically what I've started doing is like going through that VA document that you have given us with all the stages of like, tick off what they want to achieve exactly, the struggles, how long they've struggled for, what they've tried before, whether they're ready to do it now, and get those boxes ticked. But obviously with the VA, they're not going to know sometimes like how to answer certain things that crop up in the conversation, and like how best to kind of like move through it. Obviously, some conversations are very simple, others are a bit more complex with what they tell you in terms of like, you know, the struggles that they've had or, you know, things that they've tried. So like, I've started basically building like a Bible now with like every single thing that's coming up, trying to screenshot it and like the correct sort of answer that I'd say. Like, obviously that's quite a big job to do all that. Like, how is everyone kind of going about the best way of training the VA?
I would do that, and then like when they get stuck, just to message you. But like, okay, cool, watch this. Da, 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 da.
Okay.
Like if I did something sick in a conversation, I did something the other day, I'll screen record it and send it to them. I'd be like, oh, look how I handled this.
Yeah, I always get my VA to just take screenshots whenever they're unsure. Take screenshots.
You're always better off they do that, but then after a period of time, and this is a good thing when you've had a business for a while and a team for a while, the longer you do something, the better you get. Because like, there's only so many different questions they can ask after a certain period, and there's so many different situations. So like, your VA's new, but after 6 months' time, you know everything's going to come up. Same in terms of like, when you've done 100 sales calls, like, probably not that many different things that can come up that you haven't heard before.
So it's more me asking, because I'm at the minute, I'm trying to sort of screenshot it and send it to her. So it's
No, it should be the other way
she
around.
needs to be doing
So
it
like,
at the minute, if she's
so many people just, okay, anything you get stuck with or you're unsure, take a screenshot, send it to me, and I'll tell you what to do. Or even like reply yourself and be like, okay, watch how I'll do this.
Do you guys have foreign VAs or are they?
Yeah, just got one. I've still got a guy from Indonesia who got a update with him this week. He's fine, but it's just to get his pay cheap, get cheap kind of thing.
What kind of calls are you doing? Like what kind of numbers?
Sessions.
So mine's still learning, so she's just literally started off, like she's started the process of, you know, sending out messages, follow-ups, and she's cool on that side of things to start the conversation. Some of the starts and kind of like the start match okay, but when it starts to get a bit more into the chat, she's a bit unsure how to go about things, so that's what I'm trying to train on at the minute.
But yeah, she did, I'm just doing 100 because I'm not training up because I want to get rid of this week and do not 200 messages.
Mine is doing 250 messages now, 100 outbounds, 150 follow-ups a day.
So if you just got one each set
One
up,
each.
so how many calls do you, I guess your business is separate, separate businesses?
No, together.
No, it's the same business, it's just like,
It's just that I have my like
You have your
email
account.
side and
Yeah.
it's like a girl's Facebook group and like Facebook group.
What kind of calls are you doing on a month? Like numbers?
Numbers?
Yeah.
Well, we've not really had a full VA team actually going, have we? It's more been, I've been booking in the calls, you've been booking in the calls. So numbers wise, we've not been hitting high numbers of calls, have we? So probably like 45.
Really? So then you get high shows?
Well, yeah, because like we haven't really been doing any ads either, so when it comes to show up rate, they're showing up, but we're not getting a huge amount of calls in. And a lot of the time, the people that are coming on the calls, when it's been the 45, it's been that they've been following us for a long time, they're recommended to us from somebody, there's already that trust factor. So like for me now, this whole like going into the ads, and these people that are kind of like messaging me, I'm finding that there's a lot of wasted time like in the chat, so I'm speaking to them a lot, and it's not really going to the booked call because they don't have that trust yet. So I think in time, once they've been following for a bit, they will then start to get nurtured, and then they will start to hopefully convert.
And that's also why like it's important that you build the team to do that, not you. Because when you're fucking around doing that, you can't do this.
Yeah, we do some.
Yeah, so we have 3 pages. I have my page, with Mark's page, and we have the lifestyle lean business page together.
But then it is like, guys want to get spoken to about something separate
Yeah.
to girls, you can talk
So
about
I speak
separate
about
pages
very
as well.
much about females, like I speak about my audience, and then you speak about your audience, and then the lifestyle lean page is just like what.
Do you do any lead
everything's
gen on the business page?
It's
We
just
did
all-
try it, didn't we, on that page. We did actually get a VA on because our business page is basically just transformations, social
Just social
proof.
proof.
It's just all the results that we get. We did do it for a bit, and there was some success, but we've got too much to go after on our own personal
Yeah,
pages.
it's-
Like, we're not trying to like build the followers of that page.
And that's where those type of pages, the best thing I would do is you want to deal with the low-hanging fruit, which is your own accounts, but then I would run cold traffic ads of like intent-based ads of like, I'm looking for 5 women who want to do X, Y, Z. They come on the page like, shit, like this is
So
insane.
you said that in one of your videos, you said you run ads to the business page.
Yeah, with all social proof.
Right.
Because someone who's going to respond to that ad has a very specific thing they want, and they come on, they're like, whoa, like, da, 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 da. So we actually found that running ads to the page with most social proof converted better than other accounts. For very direct stuff. Not that you do that necessarily now because you need to fix your own accounts, but like once that's set up, you then look, okay, cool, let's go and try and set this up as like another separate ecosystem. And that's something I ended up getting forced to do because my Instagram account got disabled for the first time in 2021. So I didn't have an account for 3 weeks, so I was like, well, fuck it, let's try and get this thing to work. And it actually turned out to perform better than the other one.
And is that like the SMS kind of
Yeah. Because you just want to hammer that social proof. I would have the top 3 posts pinned with things like authority statements, you have voted with clients, like any awards or any other type of stuff you've got.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
On social proof. So a lot of my clients wear headscarves and stuff, so I can't post like actual before and after. So what would you say is like the best form of social proof after transformations?
What do you say they do for work?
What they do for work?
Yeah, so your clients are, you said you couldn't share their before and afters.
They wear a headscarf.
Okay, yeah, cool.
They don't show their body, like a lot of them.
Yeah.
So I can't do before and afters. I mainly do like talking heads of testimonials. So what would you say is like after, before and afters? What's the best one?
Would you say they'd be comfortable in just having photos in like their gym stuff? Probably not. Video reviews.
Yeah, that's
written feedback. That's the only other thing at that point. Video reviews are really powerful. The problem with video reviews is someone has to click and actually watch it and listen to it. Whereas if someone's like, whoa, like that person, like I saw a transformation someone had with some woman the other day, I was like, that doesn't even fucking look real. It was, but I was like, that's impressive. But someone will stop and look at that and be like, whoa. So the photos are gonna look better, but I would try and push the video reviews. And if that's your niche, then I would really just go really strong into that.
Can I suggest something? Because I tried, in the last couple of weeks, I've been trying like a different form of social proof. Like I've got before afters, I can post it, but basically I just do a bit of storytelling myself, and I use a bit of like pictures that are not necessarily related to the transformation itself, and I just talk about the journey of the client, and where he started, where they are now, and if you make it fun, you put a bit of music, etc. It's more watchable,
You could use the graphs as well as their way.
Yeah, I did like a carousel of like graphs. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. Like, I even had someone the other day who was like, can you not tag me in your stories? Because I literally just welcomed her as a client, so they're very reserved.
I would even do carousels of the video reviews, written feedback, like do it as like one thing. You could even have a graphic of like, I don't know, here's how Charlie lost X, Y, Z in the last 3 months. 1, she did X, Y, and then 2 could be like you have an arrow, like check out her feedback, and then next one could be like another thing of value, and just like go through almost like giving value, but then also showing her at the same time.
In a carousel?
Yeah, it could be something you could try. I don't find reels perform particularly well with video reviews. You could make a reel and then put a snippet of the review into it, like if you say something really good. Yeah, that's good.
They don't want to show anything.
But we're sort of going on the right path in terms of booking calls. We'll come back to that. Our offer pricing. What do you sell at the moment, pricing wise?
What?
What's your program price at the moment? What do you sell?
99 months.
9 months.
99 1 month.
Oh, 99 a month. And what do they get for that?
Full service.
Okay. I would change that straight away. Is that euros?
Euros, yeah.
Yeah, you need to push that price.
Not the big business.
Are they coming from you selling them in DM or going through a website, or they're coming on a call?
From everywhere I get.
I don't know. I mean, do you get them on like a Zoom call and sell them, or do you like DM them? Because you said you've got a lot of clients.
Yeah, I had, but some
Drop off.
lost, some dropped off.
What?
Biggest excuse I've seen people saying to me is, when I'm ready,
Yeah.
I will start.
And then, are you having them on a call to say that? Like a video call, or are they messaging?
Message, and then leads
Yeah.
to also that they won't answer the phone, or when I'm texting them, they won't answer. Like, I have much numbers.
Yeah. Lots of leads.
Lots of leads. I
Okay.
have, but I have
send them messages, trying to call them,
And were they not booking for calls?
Put this, the quality, I think it's not enough.
Who's your like demographic of who you sell to?
Bodybuilding and powerbuilding or powerlifting.
Yeah, it's a more difficult one. All in Finland?
Basically, this moment.
I would still try and push the price up on that and even just have less clients.
I put here 99.7, 3 months I could try that.
Yeah, that would work really well as a starting point. And I think this is an important thing for anyone else in the room. If you sometimes like, I want to test higher prices, if you just need to nudge it up a bit or find something you feel comfortable with, you get a bit of success with it, and then it gives you confidence, okay, I can push it more. So like, Michael, you guys should probably take yours up another 500.
Yeah.
But I would, if you can get everyone onto a Zoom call, so like a video call, but like the best people, and then sell them on the 997, you'll make way more money.
So I need some funnel. Because I've tried to pay that, lost
Yeah,
thousands.
I definitely wouldn't do that at that stage. I would, because you need to have the offer and the price right before you bring the paid ads through. So literally all I would do is have like a call booking link so they can book a Zoom call with you and then try and sell them on that call. And the sales side we can teach you or you can learn, but you just want the right people coming through, if that makes sense.
I see you have the system where it automatically sends a message.
We actually got an AI bot that can do that, but ideally you want to have setters who do that. So
What is the 7Fs?
speak to Joe at the back. Joe, can you make, does the AI work in Finnish?
Yeah, it works in language.
Yeah.
Nicholas Houdini
It's French.
has it running in French, and that's a really pretty stupid language, it's not. they've got the feminine and masculine, so it can even be like a bit of wizardry from my end, not to brag. It can go feminine and masculine rather than just the one, like we just got one language, there's all gender based. So depending on the keyword that they comment, I know they say to the bot, this is the masculine version of French, this is the feminine. Eric Sierra ran it in Spanish and English, that was fun to set up. When he was sending me messages, why did it say this? I don't know, but it was said in Spanish. I'm like, hola, gracias.
It's amazing.
But yeah, it'll work in Finnish, it'll work in any language that it's spoken to it, or we program it to like only respond in X, Y, Z.
So we've helped a lot of people in Finland, Marco and Aku Virtanen, I don't know if you know him. So like there is a market for higher ticket pricing there as well. So I would definitely even just start your offer at like 997 for 3 months, see if you can get a few people through from that and then have on a Zoom call. But it's just like...
People do it after they start, no longer I hear them anymore.
Yeah, you're not, what they start, you don't hear from them?
My offer or the minimum I take is 3 months.
Yeah.
Monthly pay.
Yeah.
But now I would like to, because I got it from you, the money now is always better.
Particularly, like you said, you want to run paid ads. If you're doing monthly, you have to wait for the money to come back. So like if you know from day one you're making 3 times as much as you're putting in, you've got like a cash machine at that point.
I have Shopify website full, very professional supplements. I have this one package, 9 programs.
Yeah.
They get, it's like a no-brainer system to anyone who's interested in starting to go to gym. They could take it and start by themselves.
I'll grab you in when we have a break in like 20 minutes and I'll go through it with you. It'll probably be easier. Section number 4. This is one of my favourite personal topics and I absolutely love and engrossing myself in. And that's the most important thing you have and are going to need for the next 5-10 years. And that is building a personal brand. People don't know you, they can't buy from you, and I'm going to teach them the strategies in this section now. John, organic lead sales conversions. And you said content. So what are you struggling with content-wise?
I think my problem is just direction. Like actually probably putting out more volume and being more focused on people that I'm trying to target. I just haven't done enough volume of that.
Is it not posting enough?
Doing a bit more. No, it's not necessarily working. I think because I've started doing this, so it's like trying to break the loop of doing similar kind of content constantly.
Yeah.
But when I actually do talk to the market that I'm serving, I do normally get quite good feedback from it. So,
okay.
And then it's also getting them on the call and then closing them as well.
Okay.
So I think last month was like 16, but I'm getting a lot of like financial objections, a lot of just general objections. So it's trying to get better at sales as well.
Okay. In terms of the content, the easiest thing to always do with content, as you mentioned, you get some things to get a lot of joy, is look at those things and just make more of them and do them in a different way. Yeah. So like if you find a certain post is done really well, it's like awesome. Let's just remake that in a different style, different location, and see if you can improve the original one. Because obviously like the messaging hits. And it's the same thing for anyone that's running paid ads, as I had probably like 10 ads with exactly the same hooks, but I filmed them in different locations and slightly different angles, and like one's at the beach, one's in the gym or whatever, because you'll find certain things might work better.
I think I struggle a lot with time management as well.
Okay.
With time, I want the video where you go through the calendar.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and implement that a little bit more, because I think just not knowing where to put your time in early on takes a lot, because I've still got a few in-person training as well, and that takes a lot of your time as well. It doesn't feel like it does, but if you're going back and forward and you don't know exactly what you're working on, you can easily just start like getting in your head and not
do anything.
Yeah.
And that's why I say the biggest impact thing anyone can do is one, like set the key things you need to do every single week, and then have your week like actually mapped out of like, I'm doing this at this time, this at that time, this at that time, and you're actually like knocking things off. So if anyone hasn't watched, I think the training I uploaded last week in terms of like how to optimize your calendars, how to review everything, like this is where business is really, really simple. It's like if you identify the thing I need to do and like plan when you need to do it, and then you do the thing and you do that for a long period of time, you'll do really well.
Another thing is I've just hired a setter. I don't know if it's probably too early, but I find that it's really tedious. Like I love making content, I love that side of things, and already he's actually booked. He's only been working with me for like this is his third day, and he's booked a call consistently. How qualified they're going to be is yet to be seen, but already I can already see how I can focus that time on content, and then kind of alley-oop it to him to like, and then obviously work on my sales to close. But I don't know if it's too early, if the money's not going to be useful. It's like $5 an hour I'm doing at the moment for 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, so that's for around £400 a month.
Okay, so like if you use the math of like what I showed earlier, if you use the math that I showed earlier of like work out your income per call booked. If you don't have a setter, I don't know what it is. If you don't have a setter, it's like, so if you literally get total money you've made last month in sales divided by how many calls booked, that will give you your total like income per call booked, whether they show up or close or whatever, right? So there is no way if you have a setter who's vaguely competent that they don't make you money. You just have to be careful they don't burn good leads, because it can be expensive in terms of training setters, if they make mistakes. Which is why actually when sometimes training closers can be the most expensive thing in your business, and it's painful. Like I think Michael and Dave had this. It's like you listen to a call and like, for fuck's sake, like why did you say that? And it's like $3,000 just disappeared that I could have closed. But you have to sometimes take those knocks and you learn the lessons and how to train your people with that.
At the minute, I think I'm just trying to be as resourceful as possible, because I'm still starting. I haven't had a huge amount of people coming through. So it's how can I leverage the testimonials or referrals to like try and move things forward. So I've recently just tried to just get, if someone's out of shape and I know they're going to get me good results, maybe reduce the price a little bit at this stage, just to get the testimonials coming through. I've got people that still haven't got results yet, but I know posting this stuff and like telling stories. I think that's something I didn't do enough as well, is tell a lot of stories. Enough stories, I say, on my content to try and kind of get that kind of personality, kind of personableness. That's
across, relatability,
relatability out to people. So something I need to work on a little bit more about. So far so good, I'm learning loads, like I've been doing it for long, I'm learning a lot, and Yeah, looking forward to
Keep
making
going.
more money with him.
One thing you just reminded me of something I did at the very start when I started my fitness business is at the beginning, one of the problems maybe you have is you have a lot of time, or ideally you have time, but you don't have many clients, you don't have any social proof. So what I would do a lot of the time is at least once a month, I'd do a giveaway for 3 months coaching. And I'd put up my social media, try and get loads of people to comment and engage on it. And then I just pick the person who looks like they've got the most money, who looks out of shape, who'd be really easy to get in shape. You get them to come onto the program, they drop 5 kilos in a month. Like, this is amazing, Charlie. It's like, yeah, awesome. Like, you've done really well. Like, you've done really well, Mark. Like, what do you think if we actually did like another 5-6 months together? Like, we could actually get you to where you want to be, and they're in because they've already believed in you. They've already got results, and then you can also showcase the 4 weeks of whatever they've done. So if you're struggling for clients, that's something I would do. And one of the big things, a lot of people sometimes at the beginning of anything, they have too much of an ego to want to do something for free. But if you do a really good result with like that type of person, I remember the time when I did it, I was getting referrals off these guys I was bringing in for free, and it worked phenomenally well. So that would be something I would look at doing potentially as well.
The thing I'm trying to work on as well is because my background is physiotherapy.
Yeah.
I actually left it to do this because this is what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Absolutely hate just being stuck in a cubicle all day waiting for patients coming through. It's like really annoying. So how can I leverage that as well into this? Obviously, this is still about movement. It's kind of in the same umbrella. To try and figure out a way of like leveraging my niche into that. So if anyone's got any ideas,
I got one for you straight away. I don't know. What's one of the big problems a lot of people struggle with is back pain.
Yeah, back pain is huge.
So I'd make content around that. Are you an executive who's got back problems because you've been sitting at your desk all day?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's actually part of my content kind of weekly planning is to do like dealing with one particular kind of physio problem, back pain, knee pain. I think I actually did back pain the other day, and I actually did quite well because a lot of people deal with injuries. So
I definitely follow some accounts that like when the clients ask me questions, I definitely look at accounts that have like rehab at this friendly or whatever. Yeah. So I think anything like that really works.
Funny enough, one of the highest viewed videos on my fitness YouTube channel was like a back warm-up routine. Got like 120,000 views or something. So there's a huge amount of people who are looking for that type of stuff. So even if you made like carousel, like back mobility warm-up routines or whatever, that can be something that can pull people into your profile. They also see the fat loss results, and even talk about like, are you struggling with back pain because you're overweight? It's a big problem. Yeah. Like, you start to put the 2 pain points together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, office workers. Well, that's the thing. I think I haven't got like a specific niche. I'm still trying to mold it. So I'm probably just gonna do a little bit of everything, maybe back pain, shoulder pain, and see what has the most.
If you haven't already in your profile, I would have like you're a qualified physio or whatever, or like the skill set you have for that, and I'd probably have a pin post at the top because that's something that people look at automatically, that you have a level of authority and obviously a very high level of knowledge.
The other thing I was going to ask with the viral, just the content in general,
yeah,
because I understand how long it takes to edit,
yeah,
and like it can be quite tedious, so I'm trying to put out stuff that doesn't take too much time. So what are your thoughts on like just talking head videos where I just speak for like 40 seconds and minimal editing but loads and loads of value, just to be as efficient as possible?
It needs to be a mix, and it's like with anything, the higher the quality, the more return you're potentially going to get. The one thing I would say, sometimes things that are filmed on an iPhone, if they're very well done, or you've got something that's really catchy at the start, can pull someone in, or even, I don't know, you had something as a prop at the beginning and you're like filming yourself. I don't know, if you've got like one of the skeleton things, if I'd got a video and I've got my phone out, I'd be like, do you suffer with back pain? I've got like a fucking skeleton, I'm like waving around. No one's seen this yet, but I dressed up as Captain Hook yesterday, like with a fucking wig and a hat for like some ads and stuff. So like, it was retarded. The thing didn't fit as well, so I was like that. But that's the things you sometimes need to do something different that can then pull people in. Because if you can get one video that can go nuclear, that's very different, it then pulls people into all the other stuff that's maybe more educational, actually has a lot of value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, find the videos where you kind of put yourself out there a little bit more, not usually do a little bit better. So
yeah, there's
get yourself out the comfort zone a bit more.
The most important thing I think from a content perspective is having some like diversity in terms of the different things you make. Whereas if like everything's the same thing talking to camera, it's very boring. Whereas like you need to have an element of like some carousel posts with like long captions. It'll really only get pushed to your organic audience. You have some stuff that's going to get a lot of reach, which is dressing as fucking Captain Hook. those different things are what's going to pull people through.
Cool, thank you.
Cool.
Can I ask a question
Yeah.
about setters? So let's say you have 2 setters on your
Yeah.
account and they're both nurturing the same lead, and then one of them ends up booking the call,
Yeah.
and then you make the sale.
How do you pay
Do
them?
you get commissions?
I'd split across both of them. So we would
So
share.
would it be half and half, or would it be
Yeah,
both?
half and half. Because ideally you want them to work as a team, so
Is
that
that going to be the case for every lead? at some point?
it depends. Ideally, I would have them try and. Are they both working at the same time?
No, I only have one. It's just a.
Oh, okay, no, okay. So, on an account, I would ideally probably have them if you've got 2 at different times.
Yeah.
So you could try and split the hours, or they try and have their own separate leads. Or one's just doing outbound messaging, one handles the conversation. And if you've got one setter who's really, really good, he would handle the conversation flow, and you'd have the weaker one do the outbound messages, because it's easier to like start the conversation rather than pull someone through the conversation.
Isn't there a risk that then there's too many hours between messages?
Yeah, but that's when you just need more people. So like, and then that's when you start to split commissions up, because you ideally want people to work together as a team, because at some point, if you've got a setter who's working, so you want to try and have round the clock hours, you don't want that message just sitting there until the guy comes back the next day. You're much better off if the other guy who's coming in next and takes the conversation, almost like hands it over to him, and be like, by the way, Michael, just speaking to Dom, we're really close to booking him in, just give him a nudge, you can get him in the next hour or 2, and get them to like work together.
Okay.
And I would just split the commission on it. So the way we actually did this, I think it came up on the call on Thursdays. In our Slack channel, we have a sales call. It automatically fires from Zapier into Slack. And then when the sales call comes in, the person like claims it, puts their like emoji on it. If it's 2 of them, they both put the thing on it.
Okay. So it needs to be case-to-case basis.
Yeah, ideally.
Okay.
Ideally.
Section number 5, how to get more money. Essentially, how to close more, how to make more on terms of actually collecting more cash on sales calls, and how to run a sales team. Now, this is one of my favorite subjects, and one of the reasons a lot of people struggle with this is they don't have experience in sales. My background of why I've done very well in fitness and why we've sold over $10 million online is the fact that I actually originally came from a corporate career in property sales. So I understood human dynamics and human psychology when it comes to buying and selling. And in this section, we're going to go through step by step some very easy hacks to help you close more at a higher percentage.
Ben. So closing and moving from face-to-face to online?
Yeah, so like, it's more like kind of like, I've got like a script that I use to kind of bring people in leads, but I'm quite new to online.
Yeah.
I was face-to-face for a while. But I have like, I'll start with like the call, start like a rapport, kind of explain the nature of the call, ask the right questions, goals, struggles, delve deep into the struggles and all that. And then it kind of gets to the point where like, I'll ask them like what changes between now and 6 months, all that kind of stuff to get them, try to sell them the dream, and then it gets kind of a bit awkward, I kind of like freeze a little bit sometimes, we get to approach like price. What's that? I think the best kind of link is between the right questions, selling the dream to them, and then kind of talking initially about price. That's where I kind of freeze it a little bit.
Okay. What's your what price are you trying to sell?
So right now it's 6 months, online coaching is 897.
Okay. The price thing, like even transparently, I had issues with that when I first started. I had not necessarily the best advice, ended up doing a low ticket program at the beginning that I did really well with, and then went to high ticket. And the first time I sold someone a program for £500, I was like, fuck me, someone actually paid that. And it was like mind boggling. When you're coming to sales calls, there's going to be like 4 objections you need to really handle before you come to pitching. So like, these are only the real 4 things that they actually won't join the program for. So as you're going through the conversation, I would try and knock these off. So like, 1 would be time. So I'm like, awesome, Charlie. So you're currently working out 4 hours a week. Like, I could pretty easily get you results with what you're doing at the moment. So I would say time's not really an issue. Cool, that's off the list. The other one's going to be, say, spouse. You obviously find out, and this is actually really, really important. The most important thing to find at the start of the call is, do you have a partner? Do you have any kids? If they do, find their names. Like, ask, like, oh, awesome, you got kids. Like, what's their name? My son's called Jamie. Awesome. And then that's something you use over and over and over again in the call. So like, what would it be like if you were in really good shape and then Jamie looked up to you as a father? Like, that'd be pretty sick. Because I remember when I was a kid, I looked up to superheroes. Like, if you were like Superman, I'm sure he'd think that's pretty sick. And like, he's starting to imagine that in his head. So the visualization from using names is really important. And then the same in terms of like the spouse side of things is, what would it be like if your partner was more attracted to you? And like specifically using their names. Like, it pulls people in, but also people who use like your partner's names, kids' names are trusted people, like doctors, people close to you. So that's going to create trust. So spouse is a big one, and I would handle that probably in terms of asking, would your partner Marie have any issue in terms of you getting in better shape? Would she be opposed to that? And opposed is a very powerful word because it's directly against. The next one, self-belief. So that I'd probably deal with, it depends on the context of the person, but say if it's someone who's got a decent job and they're successful, they've achieved some success in their life, I would try and pin the self-belief to whatever they've done. So maybe they've been successful in business, to be like, okay, Charlie, so you've been really successful, you've set up this software company, you've done X, Y, Z, so you strike me like you have self-belief in yourself. Or find something that they've been successful with before that you can bring up in the conversation. And then obviously the last one is going to be like money and financial. So like, ideally by this point, you've knocked off time, you've knocked off spouse, you've knocked off self-belief, and you're going to come to money and they're like, okay, cool. So the only issue can be like financial. So when you get to that point, it's then getting them to understand the value of what the program really is. And it depends, what would you say is your demographic of clients?
So 25 to 50.
What do they do for jobs? What do they want, fat loss?
Fat loss, usually office workers.
Okay, how overweight are they?
To be honest, it's not too niche at the minute. I'd say it's more like someone
Okay, all over the place.
24 stone, someone's comes to us like stone overweight. You know?
So there's different angles, like someone's saying someone's 24 stone.
Yeah.
I would ask them, so like, and I've actually said this to someone before, and they were in tears, and not to make a joke of it, but like cry as a buyers. Like if you actually, not that you want to get people to that point, like not you want to get to people to that point, but if you actually, this is like brutal honesty. You need to ask them the really fucking difficult question no one wants to ask, because no one's probably asked that before. So I would say to them, it's like, respectfully, Charlie, how many 24 stone people do you see who are 60? Not many. Do you think, like, what do you think it'd be worth another 10 years of your life with your son, Jamie? That worth 8, 9, 7? Like, and that's where you start to frame it, because they're like, fuck. Because no one's actually been brutally honest with these people sometimes. So like, that's, the biggest problem I see with phone closers when I listen to calls a lot of the time is like, the person opens themselves up with something that like, they could respectfully go in on a bit, which is like, almost a red flag problem in their life. And they bottle asking a question. So sometimes, like, I'd even write sometimes that's something you struggle with, is like ask the uncomfortable question. And you'll feel like a dick like asking it. But the reality is once you've done it a couple of times, you will just see people actually really appreciate you being honest with them. Because this is the big thing that a lot of people don't have, is someone to be brutally honest, particularly the world we live in. No one wants to fucking say the truth of like, you're really fat, because you're not allowed to say that now. So if you put them in that position, they're like, shit. And that's where you need to say to them, like, this is almost like the awakening for them. And the way I'd even frame the call at the beginning of this is like, whether you join the program or not, I don't really care. My goal here is to try and change your life and give you a load of value. Just open your eyes in terms of what you can do. And if you start to try and frame the conversations in terms of money around that, of like, the most important thing you actually have in your life is health, because if you don't have that, you die. So like, if you're a father and you've got kids you've got to look after, if you've got shitty health, you could have a heart attack next year. Who's looking after your kids? So like, that's quite a brutal conversation to have sometimes with people, but it's the way I would push it.
When do you know when to kind of pull back a little bit?
Looking at how they try and react to it. So like, one of the best ways, we actually spoke about this in the car here. One of the best things I would do in terms of sales call, like when someone's like, oh, I don't want to do it, and you can see they're like on the teaching on the edge, of like, cool, so Charlie, let's talk about maybe 2 reasons why you shouldn't do this. And they're like what, you're trying to tell me why not to do this. So then I would literally go into, so like reason, yeah, why you shouldn't do this. This is definitely not for you. So like, this is like a push-pull sales technique where I'm like, you're not actually good enough to do this. I'm pushing you away. And human nature is like, if someone says you can't have something, you want it. So I'm like, well, the only 2 reasons you shouldn't do this is, one, it's going to make you uncomfortable. Like, you're going to have to do some stuff you're not going to do. You can't eat fucking cheesecake every night. And number two, is there some type of financial investment and commitment to yourself? But if we go back to the conversation in terms of like making yourself uncomfortable, you've been successful doing X, Y, Z, and realistically, the investment isn't into me, it's into you. Because of what's your health worth? What's 10 years of your life worth? And if I can fix your being 20 pounds overweight or whatever problem in 6, 12 months, and you can do that for the next 20 years of your life, it's probably not a better investment than that. And if it's, say, for example, an older person, this works well in terms of executives. If you've got someone who's maybe 45, a really good framework, I would talk and just be like, cool, Charlie, so when you're 35, were you in better shape at 35 than you are now at 45? They'll be like, yeah. And were you in better shape at 25 than you are now at 45? They'll be like, yeah. And like, how often do you go to the gym? 4 times a week for 4 hours. Cool, so you've wasted 4 hours for the last 20 years to get worse. And you told me earlier in this call, you as a lawyer earn $5,000 an hour. So you've lost 20 grand a week for the last 20 years, and you won't pay me $897 to fix this problem. Yeah, so it depends on obviously the context of the person you're speaking to, but you can see, once you start to knock some of these things off, you can put something in a position where it's like, I'm actually really fucking stupid if I don't do this. And if I get to that point on someone on a sales call, I will show that frustration of like, I don't give a shit if you join, I really don't care. Like, but this is dumb, because if you look at all the things here we've just spoken about, there is no reason logically why you won't do this, other than you have a fear of like self-belief issue in terms of like actually seeing something through. I'd actually say it to them, and I'd be like, and I'd literally say to them, is that you've struggled with this for 20 years, you've wasted 20 grand a week doing it, this is your opportunity to draw a line in the sand and step over it and deal with the problem, rather than being a coward. And then just say nothing, and like just let them stew on it. But that's sometimes how you have to be quite direct and quite, I wouldn't use the word aggressive, but just be honest. Because that's how, like, it's different selling from men to women. So you have, from a man selling to women, it's just, you have to be a little bit less direct, because that's probably a bit too aggressive, but in a more restrained fashion.
I think sometimes people actually like that, because
you're honest.
Leading them to what they wanted to hear the whole time. Because I think I've had a call before where someone literally told me, oh, it's a massive calling, I'm just a bit scared to do it, I need to think about this, and think about actually making that decision, because I've made a decision like that before. And I kind of just tried to kind of coach him through it, and at the end of it, it was like, almost like a relief.
But that's actually, so like if I had someone like that, that's when I go down the framework of like, here's 2 reasons why you shouldn't do it. Because the only 2 reasons is like, is in terms of financial investment, you actually might have to do some work. But then if it was easy and everyone could do it, then there would be no value in it. So you explain it to them, they're like, because that literally is the only 2 reasons. Any more questions on that side of things?
I'm in the same position where I'm trying to step away from these
Yeah.
ones, and I actually end up doing a lot of consultations face to face, because I get talking to people in the gym and they want to sit down, and like I purely believe in online. Like most of my clients that I've had that are online get better results, because I feel like I'm in contact with them more. I feel like some people come to me like whatever 2 times a week and say, that's kind of insane, I'm not going to ask.
Yeah, tick the box.
Yeah. So I feel like sometimes when I'm doing a sales call, if like someone doesn't know if they want to do in person or online, I feel like I have too much on the table. So if I want to focus online,
As in, you could sell them in person or online?
yeah. So do you think I should just?
I try and sell them both. If you can do it, and I'd probably try and upsell your current in-person PT clients to be like awesome, like we've been training together for a year, you've been working out 4 hours a week, you train really hard, but respectfully you haven't really changed that much, not from the work you put in the gym, but it's the other 23 hours of the day. So why don't you work with me online, I'll fix your sleeping habits, stress issues, we'll sort your diet out, and then you actually achieve the results and actually get the reward of the hard work we do in person.
Definitely. For us, we've done that, just transitioned, and especially for him anyway, where he's now fully online. I'm still doing PT as well, but transitioning. And we did that with a lot of our kind of current clients to start anyway. We got them online and then kind of got from there. So it did help us a lot.
We were selling hybrid programs.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Twice a week.
It's perfect. It's like a touch point where you see them in person, you get the relationship, you give them a bit of a kick up the arse.
Because most people are still skeptical about the online coaching. They don't truly believe in the process. So if you show them the online coaching plus the PT sessions, slowly they understand how valuable it can be.
And stay for longer as well.
Because I really, I love making content and I want to put on coaching into that and creating leads. So I think maybe if I sold only hybrid and only online.
I would, and you get a session a week, and what you'll find is if say you get a sick client result online, all your PT sessions will be like, what clients will be like, how do you do this with David? Be like, well, he's one of my online clients, actually fixes nutrition and all this other type of stuff. They'll be like, well, can I have that as well? Because the easiest people to sell to are the people who already know, like, and trust, and you've given you money before. So that's the easiest people to then ascend. So that anyone who's doing PT as well, I would not almost force them. I'd be like, to be honest with you, I'm actually not really working with people in person anymore. The only people I actually work with in person are the people I'm actually fixing the real problem with, which we can dance around, which is your nutrition or the other stuff you're doing. Which is why we've been training together, and yeah, it's a great time. You train really hard, but if we don't fix this stuff, this is a complete waste of time. And at some point you have to, some of the conversations had in terms of taking online clients off of people's businesses and scaling, you have to drop PT stuff off to get to the next level. And as your business is growing, the goal is to get to the next most valuable thing you can be doing. So which is why hiring VAs, if they're good, can then take you out a lot of the DM stuff, hiring video editors, all this type of stuff, because the goal is to increase the hourly rate of what you do. And that's how you make more money.
How do you get because sometimes you finish off a call and then
Yep.
they end up just airing you.
Yeah.
One, how do you follow up with that? Because I had a guy who literally agreed to book a follow-up call on the call, ignored the whole time. So how do you kind of navigate that a little bit better? Can you? How long do you wait after, let's say, you didn't close someone to follow them up afterwards in terms of trying to get?
I would constantly follow up with them, and even a month later, I'd be like, so Jason, do you lose? How are you getting on? Do you lose the 10 kilos we spoke about, or whatever? The people you've had sales calls with already are the easiest people to follow up with, because they've already shown intent if they've actually sat on a call and spoken to you for an hour. And then a second thing I'd say is actually, this is an important thing to do in Meta Business Suite when tagging, is when call booking links are getting sent out, is they're getting tagged with call booking links sent, because the easiest people to follow up with are the people that got to a point of a conversation where the call link's been sent, because the person's shown a lot of interest. So those are the two big things I say in follow up. One of the best ways to follow up is often sending them something of value. Be like, oh Charlie, I know you're struggling with sticking to diet and what to eat. Here's this new recipe guide I made for October for Halloween. Just send people value and just drip feed things in. Because a lot of time it's just being front of mind with people. They're like, oh shit, I still haven't dealt with this problem.
I actually did a nutrition order, one of my mates who just wanted some free advice, and I think moving forward, links might be a good idea in terms of just lead magnets.
Yeah. A lot of times the best lead magnets are ones that actually look the most shitty and the less professional. So I've said this before, some of the best lead magnets I've had have literally been a Google document, my diet, meal 1, oats, meal 2, chicken, really basic, but people would believe it was actually my diet. It's so bad that it's actually authentic, that's actually what I eat. So rather than if it's in a PDF and it's all professional, it's probably not that relevant. It's I don't know, what you used to read Flex magazine and stuff, they'd workouts and it wasn't actually the person's workout. It's just bullshit. Section 6, we are talking about this specifically for you if you are more new and beginning to online coaching. So as I referred to earlier in this video, I used to be an estate agent. I used to work 8 till 6:30 p.m, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturdays. And I still managed to build my freedom with my business in fitness whilst working in a full-time job. And in this part of this video, we'll talk about exactly how you structure that around your job and how you can actually maximize having a job to get you where you want to be. And essentially the big hack, to give some of it away, is essentially use the job that you have to fund the business that's going to get your freedom and get you the future you want. Dan, you work 9 to 5 job at the moment. The reality is working a lot on the weekend. So when I was working 9 to... Mike, were we filming together when I was working? We were? Yeah. So Mike was maybe from back in the day of 2018. So I would film a lot of content in the weekend. I'd go and try and do a lot of stuff the weekend. I did a photo shoot with Ben at the weekend I got covered in water. We're not wearing much clothing. Sounds a bit gay. In Rip Gym in Basildon. Sounds awful. So I do a lot of that stuff at the weekend in terms of the content side of things. And then basically the secret was in terms of I was doing a lot of my business in my actual other job. So I would try and do as much of that. And obviously a lot of us have a phone and some stuff, so you can do a lot of it then. Is just trying to be efficient. And then same with everyone here, if you're struggling from a time perspective, is as you're coming into the week, time block when you're going to get certain things done. So if you're at the beginning phases and you're trying to escape from the job, the most important thing the only 3 things you really need to look at doing is 1 is DM messages and getting calls booked, 2 is making content, and then the 3rd thing is going to be taking sales calls. I would then do all my client work at the weekend, or maybe you get them to check in on Friday, you do it Friday night. That's how I would structure it. For a while, you have to work a lot. But I think everyone in here will agree, once you've, like I remember the day I left my job, once you get out of that, it's fucking sick. And you're suddenly if you can make a business whilst you're working 9 to 5, it gets really, really easy. Suddenly you're like, I got 12 hours a day to do this now. Any questions on that?
No, it's all good, thank you.
Cool. Kyle, expand social media reach and hire first team members. What team members are you looking for? Like the setters?
Yeah, so because at the moment my account's still fairly new, so I'm just over 1,000 followers, so it's still quite small. Kind of going into that, how important do you think niche is at the beginning in terms of dictating the path that you want to take in terms of content? Or do you think it's better to be a bit more broad?
My personal opinion is, unless you've got a strong background to something like farming, you should start broad and then start to narrow down a certain type of client come to you. Unless you've got a problem that you solved when you were younger. So if you if you used to be fat and lost a load of weight, that's something you can talk about. If not, I would start fairly broad and then start to see what pops for you in terms of content, what type of people are starting to come to you in terms of clients, and then nail into that. Like Jason's a dad, so that's an obvious niche you can then push into. So that's how I would start to look at it really.
Yeah.
A question on that? Sorry, do you know when you were mentioning there, if you've got a specific background, I've got a background in boxing, since 8 years old. How would I transmute that into content? Obviously I can't get a punch bag or do pads and things like this, but in terms of online coaching, how would you leverage that?
I would probably show some of that in your content.
Okay.
I think that would be interesting. If you did what's the main thing you help people do? Lose weight, I guess.
Build muscle, lose weight. So it's not really relevant, you know what I mean? So
I wouldn't necessarily did you box at a high level?
Yeah.
Well then I would be I'd probably maybe show you training, doing boxing or whatever and skipping and stuff, and then layer into here's how I ate when I did this and I was performing at a super high level, and then relate it back. Because if you think, I can remember, actually Charlie's met him, it is one of our fitness clients, a guy called Nabil, was head of investment banking for the whole of Asia for HSBC. It's dude's balling. And he always used to go on to be how he used to be an athlete doing rugby at fucking Harvard or wherever. Those type of guys like to be treated like an athlete. So if you push that type of athlete thing that you come from a high level at, they really, really buy into that. Because a lot of people who are high-end executives, they have a memory from back in the day that they want to relive, if that makes sense.
So in terms of market, you would say position yourself as the athlete or the ex-athlete?
I would just document and show some of that, and then also correlate it to how you fix people's problems now. So here's what I learned from being an elite level boxer. This is how I ate, this is how I trained, this is how I recovered. This is how I lost weight for fights.
I was going to say that people always go to you because of what you are now, so you're an ex-boxer. You have a lot of ex-boxers out there who want to look good, I used to do with footballers, not got a clue after they've the game. So it's just, you'll get people who want to be like you.
And just to add to that, I find that even just posting it as a lifestyle thing, you tend to attract people.
It's different. It's different.
Yeah. It makes you your own brand.
Especially girls, they love it when they see me doing the Muay Thai stuff. They love it.
The more unique you can be, the more people are going to buy into you. Because he's sick, he's the boxing guy, he's in great shape. You could be the boxing fat loss coach. Not necessarily go boxing is the way you do that, but that might be like a different angle.
Different way to do it.
You've also got, after every big night, everybody wants to get in the ring after. Anytime Andy Joshua's on, people drunk and cooked at the mind like that, I could do that.
Joe's talking from experience.
At a low level, I'm still done that. That's why my face looks like this. But that's an angle, like, how to cut weight properly. Like, I've been in the sauna, looking at sweatsuit, looking disgusting. Like, I've done this, so I could learn how to do it this way. You know,
Even for ourselves, we see the best videos are actually the ones where we're showing a day on the farm, not even talking about fitness. So you could do like a day in life and just start training boxing, and they always crush it. Like.
It's super different because not many people are doing it.
It's funny you say that because I've seen one of your videos on YouTube and I'm saying, doing my story carousel, and I've done it, it just went viral, just blew up, everyone's messaging me, so inspired, I'm like, really? It was really good, it was literally a few days ago.
But that's like, then that's something you talk, like one of the most important skills of business is pattern recognition. It's like, cool, this worked. Let's do that again next week and like I'll do some boxing stuff, we'll film it, and then if you can try and put like lessons and maybe mistakes you made and stuff throughout that type of stuff, it's really powerful because it's you're storytelling, but you're subtly selling at the same time because you can talk about a problem that they're going to have that you've solved and that you now have the experience to fix.
Yeah, like the hero's journey.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where the goal for everyone here is why I spoke about the GOAT thing at the beginning, is as corny as it sounds, is like the goal is you want to be the hero because everyone wants someone to follow who's done the thing they want to do. It's like, girlfriend Charlie will laugh at me that I only listen to people who've like done the thing that I want to do. Other than that, I'm like, not from an arrogance perspective, but like if that person's done the exact thing, I'll do whatever they tell me to do. Because like he's done it, so it's like you have the experience. So that's really where you want to position yourself. But that's where like even one of the earliest people that had a big influence on me was Gary Vaynerchuk. He talks about documenting, not creating. It's like just document the stuff you do, but then storytell around it that's relevant to your niche or the problems you solve. Any questions on that?
I've just got a couple of other questions.
Yeah, shoot.
So I've got a client, he's a bit of an influencer, he's got like 260k on TikTok, like 120k on Instagram, quite a good looking guy, like in good shape now. He was, because he's always getting messages now as well, like how, like for advice. So he was saying to me, he was thinking about like selling some PDFs, something like that. So I was like, you could make a lot more money than that. But he does work a full-time job, so we're kind of talking how I could maybe do the coaching for him. Do you have any advice between him in that sense?
I wouldn't do that. What's your program price?
Pardon?
What's your program price?
So it's $750 for 3 months, $1,200 for 6 months, or like 1 year.
How old is he?
He's 29.
What does he do for work?
He's in finance and does like modelling.
Do you think he makes a lot of money anyway? Does it right?
Yeah, like maybe like 100k, something like
Okay,
that.
I would probably say to him, I'd probably increase your program prices to 997 and be like, cool, what if every person you refer to me, I just give you 250 quid?
Yeah,
or something like that.
Like more of an affiliate.
Yeah, and they'd be like, literally, you don't have to do anything. Literally just send them to me and then I'll handle everything else.
We had an affiliation with she's a very well-known Irish woman in aerospace. She owned a pharmacy brand, and she won 9 in Ireland, and I coached her, and she didn't need money, so I tried to figure out how can I leverage her following. She had massive following and massive credibility in the marketplace, and she gave us our biggest months. Because we did Instagram lives together. She did stories and tagged me on her stories, and my bookings went through the roof. So all you need to do is get him. Now we did a bit of collaboration together in terms of she had some supplements, and maybe I promoted her supplements, and but she tagged me, and that collaboration gave us our biggest months ever. But find a way that he can tag you as the person who made him look the way he's looking, and that's all you need. And just try and get a window and make sure that you have plenty of people there to take sales calls in the back end, because when they mention you, it's like the till starts to ring.
And up your price.
And up your price.
Yeah.
Has he got a follower on Instagram as well?
I think the thinking was that if he's kind of seen as a coach, he'd make a lot more money through it rather than referring to me.
I personally wouldn't get involved in trying to do like a partnership or anything weird like that. It's like a shit show from the start. I'd literally be like, let's do this, and be like, I'd frame it so you don't have to do anything, just tag me and stuff, refer people to me, and then it's literally free money for you at that point.
Yeah.
Reading between the lines, if he's into modelling and stuff like that, he's probably quite narcissistic, and I just literally like play. Yeah, dude. Then so I literally, I'd feed into his ego and be like, dude, like you crush it with content, you do so well. Why don't you spend all your time doing that and just send these people to me, and they don't have to deal with all the other crap, and make it sound like the rest of it's like awful, like you don't want to get involved in the other rest.
Yeah.
And also, if he works in the job, I'd be like, he's busy and stuff. So if you try and hype that up, that'll help.
But just one more thing. But I've got a client that's got a private hospital in my area, so he serves like the Lancashire area.
Yeah.
So he said we could do like collaboration on certain things, like echocardiograms, MRI scanners, stuff like that, where he could like sort it cheaper for my clients. Do you think I should make offers where we can get like free echocardiogram and then just place that within my offer?
How many of your clients are local to that? From a gut feeling, I've tried to do stuff like that, and no one really cares.
Yeah.
I think it's just you're making things more complicated. If you can make it something that's online, digital, that people could have with it, then maybe. But then, unless you've got loads of clients in that region, I probably wouldn't bother. Like most of your clients probably don't know what an echocardiogram is.
Yeah. Do you think I should test it maybe on something?
You could try it.
Yeah.
But my gut feeling would be it's a waste of time in some respects. You'd be better off, because the way you have to look at it is you have like an allocation of time of like what you can be doing and stuff. If that takes you 2 days of pissing around trying to set up and it does work and it doesn't work. Yeah. Whereas if you spend all those two days into like, let's see how I can make viral content and improve my sales process and train setters and stuff, that other thing is going to make you way more money than like, let's try and add an echocardiogram into a package.
Yeah. You start talking about that as well, like your content, oh, I've got this. You've got to put off people from down south, everyone else.
Yeah, that's your other thing, yeah.
I personally wouldn't.
Yeah.
Cool. Section 7, front-end client acquisition. Now, this is what I like to call the optimal selling system, and you have to have this in your business to have clients consistently come in a conveyor belt fashion. There's no good having spits and starts of clients coming through that you get a couple 1 month or loads 1 month and none the next. We want a consistent lead generation system, which is the big thing if you want to have a business that can scale and also have a business that gets rid of the golden handcuffs that you have where you're stuck to the business. You have to have this. And we go into this in this section of the video, so make sure you have a pen and paper because there's a lot of notes you can take.
Alex, leads and ads you mentioned.
Yeah. Mainly leads coming into the business. That's a main thing at the moment. I have been running ads, but I think I've been overcomplicating it a lot. I've been looking into it a little bit too much after listening to everyone in here. They've just been boosting. And I think I've been burning money in the background instead of like picking the right content, instead of like testing it. I've just been going 50 quid a day, let's go. Let's go.
That's a good attitude in some respects, because most people are afraid to do it.
Like, the risk, like,
you learn that,
yeah. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm just being as real as possible.
So,
but obviously strategically, it doesn't make sense.
the simplest thing you want to look at from a base point of view is literally make really good piece of content and then boost it and then look on insights and how many followers you get and what the cost per follower is. And then with the targeting, make sure it's not on automatic because it'll send it to the cheapest people. So I would keep it very broad and send to maybe just UK, Ireland, or wherever you want. With ads now, you don't need to put targeting into them because the algorithm will just literally push it to the right people. You just need to put age, gender, like geographical locations.
So content's a huge, huge thing, isn't it?
Yeah, because what comes first? Yeah, it's traffic. So it's like you have to have that first to get eyeballs to come through. Like on the counter of that, I know a lot of people who've got million followers on Instagram but don't make any money because they don't know how to do the other stuff. So you need to have the best people generally quite all-rounded. And so that's where focus on learning the thing you have the biggest problem with. But if you can also understand how to sell and be good on the back end, you don't need that many leads.
So So I'm all, because obviously I'm only 8 months in. My pack, I'm doing 6 months up front for 13.50.
Yeah.
Which I haven't really had the problem when I get on.
I'd increase that straight away. So like if your close rate is above 60%, I'd increase the price. And like even so, if you go from 13.50 to 14.97, no one's going to change. And that's an extra 150 quid.
Can I, like, justify the close rate because I'm having that low volume of calls?
Yeah, but you can still track it.
Yeah.
So if you're closing above 60%, I'll just keep testing and take the price up.
What about you mentioned about the yearly thing at my stage? Would you
I would always pitch either 12 or 6 months, depending on the problem you solve. So the way I frame, what's the problem you solve for people?
Men's confidence.
Confidence.
Yeah, confidence.
Is that also from them like losing weight?
Yeah, but body fat, lower body fat.
How much weight do they need to lose mostly?
What's that?
How much weight do they need to lose generally?
Hold on the individual.
Okay.
But a huge thing that was what was really like people mentioned price before. Like people who are around about like 28 to like 30 plus don't really have a price objection sometimes. But when it was going like people who are a little bit younger, it was just obligation after obligation, just constant price obligation. Like
I would counter that with two things. That sometimes actually that demographic from like 28 to 32 is the worst.
Okay.
Because they often sometimes have a partner, they've got a mortgage, they've got kids, all this other shit. Whereas if you get someone a guy's like 23 and maybe he still lives at home with his parents, but he's making 40 grand a year, like he's got nothing to spend the money on. So there's obviously outliers to that. What I would look at doing is trying to only sell 6 and 12 month programs ideally. And then even from your pricing, if you said it was 19.97 for 6 months and 3K for a year and you start like that, like you make it, okay, the year is half the price for the second 6 months. Like you want to try and position that as much more attractive.
Yeah, I feel like a monthly is it's a hard work. And you've got like, obviously I've never cared the people who actually like stick to it, but you feel like you do a monthly and there's someone, like I think this fellow mentioned it, they just go missing.
Yeah, monthlies, they're not committed.
No.
They have to make a decision every month to continue, so I would avoid that at all costs.
Even 3 months, we do 3 months for 3 years, and as soon as you come here, it's done 6 months or 12 months, it's just a game changer.
I was doing 3 months myself, and then it was like, I'd done 2 months of it.
It's not enough.
And they were like, right, I think it's like a problem comes about the blue, doesn't it? But when they said like the 6 month situation, it was, at first you're a bit like, you're hesitant, like, people would say 6 months.
For them.
Yeah.
But like, you also got to be realistic with them. So like, I'd say to them, it's like, transparently, Charlie, you need to lose 20 pounds in the next 3 months. Could we do that? Yeah, but I'm gonna have to hammer you pretty hard. You're not gonna like it and you probably find it difficult to stick to. We do this over 6 months, it's gonna be much more comfortable and pretty easy to do. So this is why we do a 6 months process instead of 12 weeks. And then like, would you like to be able to go out the weekend once a week and eat a meal that you'd actually like to eat? Or do you want to stick eating fucking chicken and broccoli for 12 weeks? Which you're then gonna struggle to stick to after the 12 weeks. And if you start to position it right, they're like, well, yeah, I want to go to Pizza Express on Saturday. So it's like, let's do the 6 months.
So would you exclude every other package and just leave the 6 months?
Not necessarily. So I'd always start at 6 and 12 and then you can always come down. So you can always pull down if you need to. But it's the same thing in terms of pricing, always better pricing higher because like, if you have to, you can always come down, but like, you can't, like, everyone will have it on a sales call. You say someone like 3 grand, like, yeah, it's fine. Like, fuck, like, you should, like, and you know it's a good lead that you could have probably quoted more. So that is something I'd always rather you actually got some no's and a bit of pushback because that shows your pricing about right. Whereas if every person's saying like, yeah, I'm in, I'm like one after the other, then like, okay, well, this is clearly too cheap.
When you run ads, what would you just start off at?
It depends on anything, but generally the minimum I recommend anyone starts about £20 a day because like, less than that, you don't have enough traffic to really see what's going on. And if you're looking at the messenger ads I spoke about earlier, you get a good gauge on the messenger ads in 3 to 5 days of like how many, like your ads set up, you had messages coming through straight away, like cool, like, this is gonna work. It just, you might have to play around with it a bit. But like, if it's like 5 days and it's like tumbleweeds, it's like, okay, this is something that needs to change here.
Follow ads, or would you recommend?
I would do follow ads from the start. But the most important thing is the thing you're pushing out to your audience and also how the rest of your profile looks. So what you want to think about is, these are people who don't know you from Adam. So it's like, how can I make this as attractive as possible when someone comes onto my profile that like they want to work with me? So there's social proof, trust, authority, some personal stuff. So like you look like a real human being, because skepticism is very high online because a lot of people have been burnt by stuff.
I do get that a lot as well. I think someone else mentioned it. You get them to a point of where you actually, like, there's the booking link and they're like, ooh, what's this?
Yeah.
I've had people message me, but I mate, this is a scam.
Yeah.
Obviously not in them terms.
Yeah.
Like, nah, it's not, and then I try and like obviously give them like, you know, some trust and give them a message back. But I always feel like once you send that link, you go like a bit weird.
So one thing I say to anyone, if you're doing the messaging yourself, is send voice notes.
Yeah.
And hack, if anyone wants to do it, we've done it before, is using 11 Labs. It's an AI voice note software. We ended up canning it in the end and just going back to messaging. But like, if you're doing the DM messages yourself, just voice note people.
Like I think this week I've got like 11 people. Yeah, 8 the booking link.
Yeah.
Do you get them to commit to a time before you send the link, or do they just choose a time from them?
Yeah, I send the link over and then allow them to pick the time.
So I used to do that, and since I've switched the method around it, no one doesn't press on the link. So what I do is I say, okay, I've got this time and this time, which one works? Get them to commit, and then all I say is rephrase it and say, okay, cool, just to hold that spot, can you please press on this link and book it in?
Okay.
And that's it. Just takes like making them find the time themselves is a lot of mental work.
Yeah.
So if you do that for them and then send them the link, don't mention the question, they'll do it automatically.
Yeah,
That's quite a good way to position.
Yeah, it's a good, like, a bit of a transition. It's a lot easier for them.
It's just the resistance between, the friction between them booking the call. They go, oh, what have I got to do on Tuesday? I'll do that later.
Yeah, well, I've got some fellas said he's been fishing. I don't know how many hours he works a day, but he's been work since last week, so he's still not booked that call. But
There you go.
yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you anyway.
Cool. Tom, question you had was?
Yeah, I think it's about like VAs and mainly just learning how to train them.
Okay.
I think I made a mistake of having a friend on board to try and do it, but yeah, it didn't really go too well. So it's just trying to figure out the system of sort of whether to do calls daily and how to check up on them to make sure they're doing everything.
So the most important thing you need to do, like I said earlier, is have a daily call with whoever your setter and whoever's booking calls. Because if you look at the most important thing in a business is that, and the most high value thing you can do with your time, which is high leverage, is train that person. So you spend 15 minutes a day training them to be a rock star. They then do this for you for 8 hours a day. So that's like you multiplying yourself into that person. Same thing as training like salespeople. Once you've got salespeople really good, you don't really need to train them. It's more just like keeping them motivated and handling the roller coaster of sales. The big thing is like the KPIs in terms of like key performance indicators in terms of them doing an end of day report. So like how many new messages do they send, calls booked, how many messages they send, how many replies do they get, calls booked, maybe how many follows you had on the account, and then how many follow-up messages they would do. But what I'd also look at is numbers give you a lot of clarity in terms of what the problem is you need to solve. So if you, like, I'll look in our sales team when we get like the report come through every day of like, okay, this person's done 500 outbound calls and he's not booked a sales call. I was like, that's not right. So it's like, it will tell you if something is off or if you need to review something. And the numbers in the business is like the smoke before a fire. So like, okay, cool, that looks off, go and have a look. So it keeps them accountable, but also shows you what you can do. In terms of training them, is ideally giving them like a script or a framework to follow. And then, like we said earlier on, it's like when they get stuck, like shoot me a message and I'll jump in and I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah, and where would you find them as well? In terms of
The best places to find them is, we found a lot of good ones from Upwork, Facebook groups. If you type in setter Facebook groups, same for closers. I would use LinkedIn, Indeed. We have a recruitment company we use. Those are the main places. Like referral, like if you already have setters, like ask your team, do you know anyone else? Like we got a new guy who joined for dialing who's sick, and we just asked our team, like, do you know anyone else who could do this?
I think the other part as well is wondering in terms of like content, like it's a little bit unrelated. I notice I get quite a lot of leads and quite a lot of traffic, but it can be quite 50-50. Like a lot of people who sort of fill out the form, they're not really backing the leads. So would you say that's related to content and making sure the content is?
Depends what percentage of them that is.
Yeah, probably around 30 to 40% are pretty dead leads.
As in, then you send them the call booking link and they don't book?
As in, just people who have like filled out the form, like 30 to 40% of them are just maybe like really underage or from really bad locations. Contact the other ones.
Yeah, but then like that's actually one of the things I was going to say to you. Like some of that's the demographic, because if you're targeting young guys who want bulking, that's quite a difficult demographic to target. Like I've tried to sell bulking programs before, and it's like if you want to sell weight loss, it's way easier. And it's also quicker to show client results with that, because like you can get someone pretty lean in 8 to 12 weeks. Or if you want to get someone to add 20 pounds of muscle, whatever, it's going to take a long time. Yeah.
That's not when you started. You started when kind of people with skinny weight gain muscle, and it was really difficult.
Yeah, like.
It just takes too long.
Yeah, no, like respectfully, no one cares really.
The
Unless,
transformations are not as impressive as a big guy who loses the weight.
No.
We made that switch.
My honest opinion is I'd probably look to review that niche, because I, for example, I don't know any coach who makes more than 50k a month doing that. I don't know anyone actually who makes. You're the first person I've seen in a long time do it. So like, the way I look at everything is, has someone done this before? Can it, like, we're trying to run YouTube ads at the moment, and it's difficult. And someone said to me, "It's like, yeah, you can't for that audience you're trying to target. It doesn't work." And I was like, maybe this is something I need to review. So I would try and take the path of least resistance, something, because that might be something to think about.
Yeah, would you say even though my own like journeys, like obviously related to weight gain, would you still say it's worth like transferring efforts?
Yeah, 100%. Because even like anyone who's built muscle over a period of time, we've also lost weight and whatever. So it's like, it doesn't mean that's your pigeonholed only to that niche, and there's no reason you can't transition out of it. It's easier to coach people for weight loss than gaining muscle, in my opinion. Because like to get people to gain muscle, you have to get them to eat a lot. They get a bit fatter, and then the people are like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's a longer process.
Cool. Bilal, VA training and coaching systems, LTV client. Actually, we spoke about that a minute ago, didn't we?
Yeah, VA training, I've got my answers for that.
Okay.
That's sorted. I think it's just basically lifetime clients and also traffic as well. Related to what Tom said, I get a lot of like foreigners just interacting with my page and stuff as well.
Foreigners?
Like, you know, from like India and
Okay.
like, countries like that. So
Is that organically off of the content?
So I posted a story the other day, got like 2.5k views, but all the ones that were like, you know, responding to the call to action, about 8% of them were just all like, you know, Middle Eastern people and stuff. So online content's pushing out like.
You live in the UK, right? There's no reason really why necessarily. One of the things you can find is if you start to get a lot of a following from one country, your content can start to get shared around there, and then you start to build a bit of an audience from there. There's not really a specific way to combat that. The only way you could do is you can tag locations, but you can also run ad traffic to where you want to go. So if you were like, cool, I want to target just the UK or wherever, you would just start boosting your reels there.
And then retention as well, so like, I think after like 3 months or 6 months, most of that, I'm getting about a 70% sort of drop rate as well. So like, what would you advise on kind of retention? What you say in terms of like, you know, creating that sort of 4-phase system for clients as well, like push that journey to like 12 months.
Are you selling 3-month programs?
No, I'm doing 6 months now.
Okay. A lot of the biggest reason for drop off is normally because of the coach-client relationship not being good enough. So that's the first thing I'd look at, is like what does that look like and how can we improve that? I spoke to Alfie about that a minute ago. It's like, if you can get that closer relationship there, clients stay a lot longer. And a lot of that's the first impression when someone starts, the first 10 days. So I'd maybe review even your onboarding process to fix your churn at the back end. Because if people start and they do well, they tend to continue and they tend to be pretty happy.
What would a good onboarding process be?
Ideally they have, after they've been set up, like ideally automate as much as possible and actually try and simplify it as much as possible. So I'll give an example. I signed up for some mastermind thing this week. They sent me an email, it's like 5 different things, and I don't really actually understand what I need to do here. So try and make it as simple as possible. And then I would have, after they've been set up, have an onboarding call with them to be like, this program is all set up, have you got any questions? Because if you get people to actually implement and do the thing, and you get them motivated at the start, if they get results quickly at the beginning, they will do well, who get more referrals, who get results to share, and they'll probably stay longer. So I would just really try and hammer that initial period so they get like embedded in. Jason.
I usually do a Loom video onboarding after I've done the setup, but typically it's me who's done the consultation as well.
Yeah.
So is that still as effective? Because the consultation is almost an onboarding call to a degree if I've covered everything on board with the Loom.
Sorry, is this after they've so you've signed them up?
I've signed them up. I've done the consultation because
Okay.
I don't have a salesperson. So
Yeah, a Loom would probably be okay.
Yeah.
But then it depends if it's a problem or not. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that's.
I'm thinking about adding more value there in terms of.
If you've got time to do it at the beginning, I probably would.
Yeah. Or so maybe even the first month, probably the end of month one.
Yeah, and that's like what I say to anyone is that the biggest strength you have if you've got a slightly smaller business right now is you can be a lot more personal, put a lot more time into people, and really over deliver on that aspect. But then the challenge is like for Tara and other people, when your business is starting to scale, like, you can't be doing a one-to-one call with every person every week if you've got 50 clients because you're going insane.
Over delivery comes, people get used to that and won't pay anymore.
Yeah, but then when you just start bringing new people in, it's like and this is actually a big mistake.
I've seen, if I give full service, they, okay, 99, they won't pay anymore.
Then just don't give them any option. We just don't do that anymore. Like, for example, there's going to be a transition period with that. So, for example, our fitness business that me and Mike went gallivanting around the world, taking photos and videos for was Shredder Nate, that originally was like £99. And we had a guy who signed up for that and then 3 months later paid $9,000 for a year. So like there's people in cheap programs who will pay you a lot more. The problem is if you try and market the cheap one and the high ticket one, you will lose so much money because people who could afford the high thing will want to buy the cheaper one to try it. So like the low ticket model doesn't work unless you've got a lot of traffic. So I would, there'd probably be a period for maybe 4 to 6 weeks where you might have a bit of people like pushing back, but then it's just how you position your newer high price thing. You just hype up loads in terms of like, you get X, Y, Z and just try and really like label up the deliverables on it. Like, a lot of things we do is hype, because like in reality, a lot of things we sell is like, it's a training program, it's a fitness nutrition thing. They could get all this stuff on ChatGPT if they knew how to use it well. But the goal for us is to actually get them hyped up and excited to do it and actually see the thing through. So that's really our job in terms of a marketing thing, is like, how do we make this process sound sexy and actually something they want to do?
I think that's the exact sticking point that I'm at, is that my best value is like talking people off cliffs and like keeping people on plan and like
Accountability.
Accountability and relationships building. Like, the stuff that people share with me is absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't share it with anybody. It's too much, but I'm at that point where I have that many. I've got like 75 of those relationships where it's sucking time out of working on the business then, in a way, and it's trying to maintain that quality that you were speaking about, that you can still deliver that level of relationship and experience while scaling. And I'm right on.
I think I was stuck in this for a long
Yeah,
time, and I was like, because I've only just recently properly got out of delivery, and it's like been absolutely game changing. I feel so much happier day to day. But I was stuck in this a long, long time where I felt that if I remove myself, then people are not going to get the good results that they were getting. But actually, when you get the right people in, you get the right team, you will see that actually they'll get service better, because you're trying to do everything. You're not going to be servicing that client in the best way. But actually, if you've got someone who's dedicated to that client and they're able to jump on calls with them whenever they need, and they're there to support them, they will get a better service, they'll get better results as well.
If you coach someone like you would coach, and they've got an amazing result, and they kind of a similar guy to you, they might be a good coach for everyone else. And you'll find people who, they might not be your standard, but if they're 80% like you, they're going to get a result.
And they can give more time.
Yeah, they can service them better. Like, so the best thing to do for what I would recommend is that you want to find someone who's come through your program, who's like just absolutely crushed it and has just delivered and implemented and been that A grade client. And if you take them on and just scale them up a little bit, they will just they'll improve your business. It's not gonna get worse. It's gonna get better.
Just out of curiosity, how much do you pay your coaches?
We pay them based on number of clients. So we've gone through a few mistakes with this as well. In the time we were paying previously like a base. So it was like, this is the base you get. But the issue with that is that they weren't then like going above and beyond because they were just getting that same base. So now we pay them based on like a number of client bracket. So if they're above like 60 clients, they get this much pay. If they're below 50 clients, they get this much pay.
So they got £40 a client.
Yeah.
And then bonuses if they do like a transformation or they do a retention call.
Yeah, bonuses are really good as well. Because like
And £40, what's the percentage to your price point?
Well, depends what they're on, whether it's monthly or upfront, but we charge it, depends if it's 6 months or 12 months, isn't it?
So £40 would be like what, like 20% of your price point, something like that. Like if you were to put into a percentage, what would
It's usually 80-20, isn't it? Percentage recommended.
Section 8, we talk about team building and actually how to do a follow-up system. One of the most important things I have personally discovered as I went from having a business, which was just me as a solopreneur, to a business with over 40 employees, is leadership skills, how to run an organization, and how to get all these people to dance to your tunes. You can maximize what you do and have huge amounts of leverage.
The goal that I would say you want to have is you want to have an 80% profit margin fulfillment. So max you want to have is 20% expense for that. So yeah, for the coaching. And that's a big mistake. I see a lot of people getting stung with where they get really shit advice and they only becomes apparent when you start giving a coach a lot of clients and like, well, the coach is making 10 grand a month. And like, well, I just coach people 10 grand a month. So, and that's when your business doesn't become profitable because generally as you scale, your profit margin will go down, but you make a lot more money anyway. But you just need to have it set up in the right fashion. So then you can put money back in front end to like run the machine. Any more questions on that? That's quite a good subject, to be fair.
Shoot.
20% is what I'd have in terms of like a fulfillment cost. So like in terms of staff. Sorry, in terms of coach.
What's the minimum you reckon?
The minimum you can get, whatever you can get away with. I like that. Depends what you can get away with. If you can give them a lot of clients, probably less. Maybe, I think like some people like £30 a client maybe.
It sounds like it's not a lot when you say it like that, but like you have to pay for the ad spend.
Of course.
Yeah, I do. Like.
I've seen it play out because I worked for a coach as a coach, and I completely forgot what we were getting paid and why. And I seen that coach have to pay. He started paying us 50%.
That's insane.
It was insane. And even when he gave it to me, I was like, oh, yeah, that's sound.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Even the coach knows if I can get one over. Because like, if someone was,
I was the only one who did.
because if someone gave me like, if you were getting 100, like how many clients could you coach? If all you did was coaching, 50 check-ins a day.
Yeah.
Like 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
Probably.
He had the same staff that he had to cut back to 20%, and he still has a couple of staff like that. It's a point where it's a kick into my mind, basically.
Yeah, I was paying my coaches 30%, but I realised it was too much.
Yeah.
How many clients do you coach now?
Varies. Some of ours have 130.
Really well.
I had, not that I would definitely not advise this, I had like 200 myself at one point. And I was trying to check them all in one day, dude. I was trying to check them all in on a Friday, and they'd come in so fast I couldn't like reply, like it was literally like gun to the head. And then people wouldn't check in on Fridays, so it come through, so it ended up taking almost like spreading over 3 days. The logical theory was that I had the rest of the week to focus on marketing, but it wasn't a great idea. And I just had too many, and I was resistant to hire anyone because I didn't think anyone else could do it. I thought everyone wanted to work with me. And that's a limiting belief that everyone has. And until you've been broken that belief of no one gives a shit, they just want the actual end result of like, I want to solve the problem of losing weight.
Focus on is that they just want to get that result.
Yeah, I don't care.
And actually that there will be other people that are better than you as well to get that result. It's like you think that you're the best at everything, but actually like there is the people that can, you know, give that client a bit more support.
Cool. Matthew, lead generation traffic. We've spoken about that a bit in terms of boxing content.
On that hierarchy of like paid, right? What would be the 4 kind of barriers if like, let's just say starting to do paid? Would it be boosting posts first? Would it be
Depends on where the business is at. So for example, your business, you have a very successful business already. I would do SMS and boosted posts. If someone was right at the beginning, I would just do the boosted post first. Because the SMS posts need a bit of testing to get them to work.
What is SMS?
Oh, sorry. Like a square graphic, which is like I'm looking for. I haven't mentioned this yet because I don't want to give you too many things to do. Basically, it's like a graphic which would be like I'm looking for five women who want to overcome the menopause in the next 90 days. We'll teach you to lose fat, eat right, and fix your hormones. DM me menopause for info or something like that, and you would push it as a messenger ad. The reason I wouldn't suggest that for people necessarily at the beginning is sometimes they don't work, sometimes they do work. If you do get them to work, they're great, and you can rinse them a lot. If you've got a lot of good social proof, your branding is really good, that goes a long way in terms of it working. So I would always start with a boosted one if anyone has a more initial phases business. And then if you are more advanced, you could go into both. But it also depends in terms of I wouldn't start running loads of messenger ads unless you had, like you need more VAs and setters and to get that team right. So I wouldn't start pumping loads of messenger ads in when they're not ready to handle that. Because as you said, the cold conversations are difficult. It's a real lottery of what comes through.
Yeah, it is. I had a question about the follow-up process because, like, obviously, the BAs is like the main thing here in the business to get the calls in. It's clear, like, we're following up in terms of, like, you send a call link out, you might want to follow up the next day, 48 hours later, 3 days later. But, like, is there like a full kind of like blueprint for following up? Because, like, these people now that are coming in that have just started following me, I might be able to chat with them, but maybe like we need to touch base with them in another 3 months' time.
I think I just got Aiden to film another training on this. So what we actually do is we tag them with a date. Yeah. So it'll be like it's September the 15th or whatever, and then we'll go back to August 15th and follow up through those, and you can almost follow back through the dates because you can use the labeling on the dates in the Meta Business Suite.
Yeah. So like, say like if you've had a call with somebody they didn't book, they booked in and they didn't sign up, like.
Yeah, you can then tag them in Meta Business Suite as non-closed. And then just get the setter maybe to go through once a week and just follow up with those people.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think like what I kind of need is like how frequent should they follow up? Like, so that person didn't close, should they follow up within the next week? Should they follow up
if they didn't close, I'd follow up with them like within the first 2 days afterwards, then probably the next 5, and then maybe next month, and you start to extrapolate it out a bit. Because at some point, if you've been on a call and they're like messaging you every fucking day, it's not going to help the cause by any means, because they'll be like, this is annoying.
That's cool. And then the other question was just to say, like, with my VA, she's on the account for like what 8-9 hours a day. Like, what should be like a good amount of calls that she gets booked? Like, what's a good amount?
The only answer to that would be comparable to what was happening before. So that's why I'd always say if you have more than one, you can compare. Like, if you had more than one, you start to compare them against each other. So I'd look at the numbers in terms of, okay, how many outbound messages are they sending, how many replies they're getting. Off of the replies, say they get 10 replies, you should be able to book one call out of that maybe. So say if you're getting 20 replies, that would be the rough type of thing I'd look at, is at 10%.
Yeah, because I feel like I kind of want to give her that sort of, because now I've said to her, I need to have 250 messages a day. She's hitting that number. Before I didn't really set that.
And this is the really important thing for everyone here, and I've made this mistake loads, is you have to set clear expectations of like, this is exactly what I want. And like a thing I've had a bad habit of doing is like, can you do this for me ASAP? The fuck does that mean? Like now? Or like this week? Like, so can you do this by 5 p.m. today or by the end of today? Can you message this many people? Can you follow this many people? Be like crystal clear. And there's less ambiguity then.
That's what I'm thinking, because I kind of want to like give her, right, I need to have 4 calls booked today, like, because at the minute, obviously, we've not got to that point yet, but I think unless I set her like a clear expectation, it's just going to be a bit like.
But then even one thing you could do, be like, okay, cool. So for the next 15 days of September, the goal is I want you to try and book 4 calls a day. Every day you do it, I'll give you a $20 bonus.
Yeah.
Just like, and then even if you don't do that from October, they then know how to do that because they've been doing it before, and then be like, well, you did this for the last 2 weeks, so like you can just keep doing it now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, since I said that to her, I said to her, right, you've been doing like 50 messages there, you've been doing 50 follow-ups. I need to have this many done by tomorrow. She's just done it straight away, but it's because I didn't set it clear before. Because obviously there is a lot of time, you can get a lot done in that time if you
are efficient. But that's one of the best things you can do. Anyone here from sales, go in your inbox and look how many messages you have going on.
Yeah.
If I was to open my Instagram now and look, there's no messaging, I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Because it's like, that's, if you look, there's like crickets, that's them not doing their job. That's also why the end of day reports and how many calls, like you can quickly look where the problem is. Like, okay, they're not sending enough messages. Okay, they're sending messages. They're not getting replies. Okay, cool. Let's look at the first message they're sending and try and fix that. If that's then coming through and like, cool, they're getting replies, we're not booking calls. Cool, then look at the conversation of where's this getting stuck and not converting? Is it the wrong type of people coming to the account? Is the setter not doing a great job? And that's where it's like a process of elimination, like going down the steps almost. And then maybe it's, okay, maybe you get into the end bit where the call booking link's sent and they're not getting booked in. So, okay, cool. Maybe let's try and take the price qualifier off for a week, see what happens. It's a weird expression, but sometimes with like business stuff, it's like fuck around and find out. It's like, do the opposite of what should work. So let's take all the qualifiers out, see if we book in loads of calls and they'll close. Like you don't really know until you try it.
Is it worth, at the moment I get obviously good reach on my own account.
Yep.
Is it worth doing SMS ads on my business account that just has social proof?
I would try it. I would try it.
Have you got like a training on that?
Yes, there's one. If you go into the ads section. Yeah, I would try that. Where I'd always start is £20 a day. Because it's £600 a month. I give them at least.
Just one a day or a few a day?
Depends how much you want to spend. I wouldn't recommend doing more than 3 to 4. I'd probably start at 2. It gets very messy if you start to have a lot of. At one point we had like 15, 16, and there's like it gets very, very messy. So I try and start with 2, and then start to try and get those to work. Like generally, what I do with ads every week is we'll test 3 new audiences every week. Like, out of 10 times, like 8 of them are going to be shit. They're not going to work. But then I might find something that does work, and like, cool, let's narrow down on that.
Have you ever done like similar to SMS ads but a video?
Yeah. So it was weird. Maybe a year ago, 18 months ago, we were mainly running the video versions of it, and they were performing better. And then now it seems to be the graphics work way better. Why, I don't know, but I tend to see it like alternates in terms of what works, but graphics work better, which I think is better because it's easier being like, cool, I want to change this ad, I want to change the hook at the start. Like rather than like videographer, Jim, like edit, it's a pain in the ass. Whereas if you just want to change, if I get an idea and I cool, let's change I had one the other day for someone who's running ads to Ireland, and their ads are getting like Indian tech workers come through. It's like, instead of saying like 7 men, say 7 Irish men. Just like that little tweak might help the conversion. If you were doing a video ad, you have to shoot the whole thing again. The graphics are good if you can get them to convert because they're really quick just to tweak and test. And that's where like one thing, particularly when you start to run a lot of ads, is just try and find what works, and just small little changes in wording can make a massive difference sometimes.
And you track all the data on
It's cost message tracker, like spreadsheet. Because if you're in the UK, your ads manager will, because of the joys of the European Union, will block the cost per message. So if you have an ad account that was in Dubai or North America, you'll be able to see the cost per message, but normally for an ad account in the UK, you can't see that.
So how do you do that?
You'd have to have a VA manually tracking it.
Yeah, so you just tag, like if someone messages the keyword, you just tag it in MetaSuite with the keyword, and then you can look back at how many keywords have been sent from that.
Yeah, that's something I'm automating for people at the moment in a dashboard with calendar, so you can see weekly, monthly. Be able just automate tagging and biceps, and then I'll automatically tag it and put it in the dashboard so the number just increases. Building that for a few people at the moment so that you can just filter, thinking like check-ins, filter by that month. You've just got all your data sitting in front of you. And it means you don't have to go, check-ins are due, and then you got to scroll through your inbox for 40 minutes counting.
That's where I think it's, particularly where you're at, it's important to have those tech foundations in. You end up with, I can't remember the phrase, it's not operational drag, but almost like systems drag, where you've like not actually fixed and built things. You've got like a plastered together system, but you've built this massive business that's running on shitty spreadsheets. And like we've done that a lot of the time, but then it costs you so much trying to run the spreadsheets with loads of VAs and it doesn't work or whatever, that you just need to actually fix the problem. So I would always say to anyone, you need to have the tech stuff fixed before you blow up, because otherwise, like, you have this big business and then the whole thing's a mess behind the scenes, and you're like robbing Peter to pay Paul and trying to fix it.
Do you have a spreadsheet or some sort of system that you use for your VAs, to track what they're doing?
We do in terms of cost per message tracker. I think we might do, yeah. Jess knows better than I do.
Videos. There's a sheet that the VA will use, and it'll basically, there's a video that shows you how to use it as well. I think it's with Ada, and it has like the keywords that you put in ads on there, so you list your keywords, and your VA will kind of like go into there, say someone messaged the keyword like menopause, they would put the number down there, then they'd also record the outbounds, the follow-ups, the new followers all in that sheet. So I use that with the VA, every day, just to see what
produce followers and followers.
Yeah, she makes an end of day report loom, showing me that sheet, going, this is what happened today, Jess. This is the follow-up. This is the outbounds. This is the new followers you've had. This is what I'm working on tomorrow. That's what she does every day.
The tracking and reporting is super important because it keeps your staff accountable, but then also you've got visibility of like what actually needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it's also really helpful for me because like now I can see with these ads how many new followers I'm getting a day, and it's gone up since I've been doing these ads, and she's the one that's recording that for me.
You say it's not necessary even if you just started, just starting with like the.
If you're doing it yourself, then no, I wouldn't. Yeah, when you've got a team member you need to manage. I don't know why it made me think of that. The one thing that's really important I would do in everyone's business from a tracking point of view is what's the scoreboard of business is revenue. So this is something that helped me a lot, is doing what I call a daily projection. So this is basically a financial projection of where you're on target for the month. So what I would do is I would do revenue month to date, and this would be, we do total net of what's ever on our Stripe accounts, whatever. They would then do the daily average. So how much we were making on average per day. So say we did 15K and it's the 15th, it would be 1,000 a day. And then I would do projection, like roughly where you're on target for the month. Say it's 31 days a month, would then be 31K.
Did you say net? This is net? Or
I do net off of the Stripe accounts. Okay. So then it just saves having to take the fees off and other stuff when you do P&L. But that's just really good because it gives you a pace cadence in terms of if you're on pace with the business or not. If you've got a target, say, I don't know, I want to hit 50K, cool, like we're off, we need to get some revenue in quick, or if you're ahead. So this is something I obsess, like two things I obsess over is like calls booked, because that's a leading indicator in the business. And it's like checking this thing every morning of cool, like where are we on pace towards the end of the month? This is super, super important because also if you're off track a bit, and it will hopefully give you a bit of a kick in the arse of like, cool, how can I fix this? So the reason I actually made me think about this is I was wasting like 20 minutes a day doing this myself for like 3 years because I quite liked going through the Stripe accounts, felt like quite cool, which is stupid. Until I just got a VA to do it, and now I just opened my Slack channel. I was like, okay, cool, that saves like 20 minutes a day. So things like this you want to try and automate, which is why it made me think about the Instagram thing of you not tracking the followers. So this is super, super important. I've got photos on my whiteboard and I have my shitty little shed office in the UK of doing 100K months on the little whiteboard where I was trying to do it. So that just knows where you're at. So like we have to remember the whole point of all of this stuff is the scoreboard of getting to the target we want.
Would you say that's checking that daily or like
every day? I look at it every morning. Every morning. Really, really, really important. Like, and I would have a VA or assistant do it for you, and I would just check that every morning so you know exactly where you're at.
So they go into your Stripe and check it out?
Yeah, you can give them admin access, and they're just going through Stripe and then take it. And they can take off, they deal with the whole thing. Like with anything like that, what I would do is just film a loom of you doing it, and then be like, can you just do this for me?
How many process systems would you want to try? Would you want one just for, say, managing accounts and payments, and then one, say, for maybe doing like managing callings and call bookings?
The best piece of advice I can give you is have as less people as possible. So you can have one person do all that stuff. Because none of it's that complicated. It's just like annoying, time-consuming stuff, right? And stuff that you shouldn't be doing, Dave shouldn't be doing. Like, say if I was going to have a call with someone, I message on Slack, like, I'm not going to do it myself, so I'd be like, I'll tag Charlotte and be like, can you book a call with Mark and Jess for 3 p.m. on Thursday?
That's just a random language for business. Would you bring in full time?
Yeah, I'd have like, here would be a task I would do is, it's called a love and loathe task. So like if you've got a pen and paper and put love top left, loathe top right, put a line down the middle, write everything you both do. All the shit stuff on loathe you don't want to do is like, who can we fob this off to? Because if you can get your time back to focus on training the VA, which can give you a load of leverage, make better content that's going to pull more people through, that's better than you checking Stripe accounts or dealing with whatever.
Section 9, we are going into how to hire setters, how to hire closers, and how to manage a sales team. Now, if you're in a business that's at maybe 30 to 50K a month and you want to go up to the next level, and you also want to get rid of the golden handcuffs, this is one of the most delicate points of the business where people lose astronomical amounts of money. And I've done that because there's a lot of mistakes you don't know if you haven't done this before. And if you want to collapse that time horizon and not have these painful mistakes, I would suggest you tune in and take as much value as you can, specifically from this part of the video, because if you really want to go to the moon, you can't be taking all your sales calls yourself, and it's also probably not the type of lifestyle you're going to want to have. Cesar, you had unifying two eyes?
My niche is mainly lead generation
and
lead acquisition. Obviously, I'm going for a phase where I'm getting rid of my current setup,
yeah.
underperforming because now I was working for another coach. So I'm going to go through a few interviews next
Okay.
week with new sectors. But my main question is, obviously, which are the main characteristics that I need to look for
In setters.
personality-wise in a setter?
Yeah, I would take, so like one thing I like to do is I'd hire 2 people and be like, so Cesar and Jess, we're going to take you both on, but transparently there's only one job, so we're going to do a week trial and see. Yeah, I'd have them both on. I'd be like, I'd speak to both of them and they're both getting on one call and I'd be like, we've got one job position, so I want to try you both and then we'll see who's best and the best person can have a job. Because then but also if they're both really good, put one on each account.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
It's weird this. So basically we took on 2 VAs and literally within like the first day I could tell which one was better.
you know straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, I've been having the center for a few months, and at first it wasn't an issue, but it's been like literally booking 1 call a week, and I'm getting over 1,000 followers a month. So
Yeah, terrible.
I thought the issue was me and my content.
No.
But now it's pretty clear because my closing rate is quite high, my retention as well. So now I know the issue is the sector completely, because if he's not booking at least 3 or 4 calls a week.
There's also looking at the numbers as well of what they're doing, like actually having that visibility. So like you need to know like how many outbounds they send in, how many follow-ups they send.
What's he actually doing every day?
Yeah, so
you can't just look at like calls booked. You need to know like what the numbers are that they're doing to see if they're actually putting in the work, and that's where like having hub
So
staff.
give him proper targets by
Like imagine he's in a 9 to 5 job and like you start the day, it's like this is what you got to do every day, Cesar, and then you got to like keep them on track, because the problem is like these people fuck around and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Especially now that he's working for another coach, which is much bigger than me. I know he's getting much higher percentages from this other coach, so I can see that now he's getting less. So
I think because when we first started, it was kind of like not much money, not
Yeah.
in the
Nobody
budget,
wants to
so
work with us.
That's how it is, and then now we're growing and stuff, so now we're kind of realising we don't have these systems.
But I'd actually flip this on the head. There is millions of people who want to work for you online to do this. I probably get 20, 30 messages a day on Instagram. Can I do sales closing for you? Can I do setting for you? Like literally, because if you think about it, if you live in Romania, South Africa, or even like the UK, you can make 2-3K a month working from home on your phone. It's better than working in, yeah.
Compared to what they would have been doing. So there's a lot of people that would want to work for you. It's more just making sure that they're clear on like the expectations. Like that's a big thing that I've really drilled into my VA, and making sure there's like clear reporting. Otherwise, like, what are you looking at? You don't know what they need to send you, like what they've actually done that day, how many messages they've sent. You need to be able to go into your meta suite and actually just click today's date and see all the conversations that they've had. If you can't see that, then it's like you don't really know what they've been doing.
Charlie, it's similar to that then. You get a message saying V8. I get quite a lot saying closers. I have loads of closers.
Oh yeah, dude.
How much do they take, like, even if they are good?
Any good closer wants a lot of money. So like, because if that's like one of the most valuable skills you can have. So I'd always pay closers like 10% flat. I wouldn't, if someone's good, I'd pay them more than that. Like, you really want to pay them as much as possible. So if you have a guy who's good, then you want to try and keep him. And I wouldn't test different closers unless you need more, or the guy's difficult to manage or problematic or not doing what he's supposed to do.
If they're good enough, you just add 10% onto the top of the fee.
Oh yeah.
The price is up.
Well, they can sell a higher price if they are good.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, that's a huge thing.
We are about to like restart our LinkedIn.
Yep.
Because back in the days we were working with some VAs and the page grew quite a lot. Would you put the same VA on LinkedIn?
I personally like them to focus on one thing at a time.
Okay.
If you can, then you could do, but what I would what I would suggest actually is that you do it yourself to begin with, because the quality, and it might seem counterintuitive to everything I've said, but the conversations on LinkedIn are much more difficult than the ones on Instagram because of the caliber of person you're dealing with. But also from your perspective, if you get someone from LinkedIn, I would like double the price in terms of what you're selling, because they're conditioned, like, I'll give you an example. I hired a speaking coach, and like, obviously I knew she was going to sell me. She booked me in for like a demo call or whatever you want, like a trial call. I knew I was going to sign up anyway, so I was like, okay, cool, how much is it? And in my head, I'm like, it's going to be like 10 grand. And she was like $1,500. I was like, okay, cool, like, I'm in. Like, you have to understand the people you're selling to, like the value of what you can give them. So if you've got people from LinkedIn who are like high performers, if you can give them more energy, they feel good, they're more confident, what's that worth them if they make $1 million a year? A lot more than someone who makes 10 times more, right? So that's why I'd be more aggressive on the pricing.
And how did you change my content into LinkedIn? Obviously it has to be different.
The best thing in terms of LinkedIn for content is actually using lifestyle photos and long form captions.
So no videos.
You can do videos as well. I would test them. What I would do is have the captions that talk about like dopamine, alcoholism, stress, menopause, low testosterone, sex drive issues, like those type of issues that maybe older professionals might have.
Would it be enough to be just in front of the camera, or would it have to be?
Dude, it could literally just be a photo of you, like.
I recently, I was just dragging everything across, going like perfect, just getting nothing. Literally, like the best transformation photo was getting.
Transformations do terrible.
Nothing topless. You can't have any topless. You can't have anything like that.
I actually think the algorithm on LinkedIn should stop you showing your content if it's topless.
Yeah.
Different game to Instagram and LinkedIn, like with what you put on LinkedIn, because it actually doesn't like as much video content on LinkedIn. So actually, like pictures.
Just a high quality picture.
It's like old school Instagram.
They do better. Yeah, it's like old school Insta. So I mean, I was trying that area, but I just realised there was just so much I needed to get after on Instagram. That for now, I've just like fully doubled down on just going after Instagram and getting the VA sorted on there, rather than trying to do both.
Yeah, you get spread too thin.
Burning myself out, because LinkedIn needs a whole different strategy of your content.
You can't just like drag the copy either. It's got to be more about you and your story. And
your backstory. You want to like really be going into like your journey more on the LinkedIn.
My advice would be to focus on getting the Instagram thing solved. That's booking a couple of calls a day. Do it across both your profiles and don't look at anything else. Like, this is sometimes one of the things we have, and I've done it loads of times, of like.
Talking about the accounts.
Yeah.
How would you connect?
You've already looked at obviously keeping the colours the same, keeping the environment similar to what you guys do. So you have two different accounts. I don't know if you've got any advice as well. And then obviously, I heard you speak about the transformation page. I know not right now, but I think it's just making sure that we're still like seen as.
Yeah, together. I would like collaborate posts to two of you, make content together. Oh no. I would like if you like making content together, that would be a good thing.
That's I think also we need to look into. It's like what kind of content without it maybe being.
What's your
Is your brand? Have you got the same brand names?
Same brand name, yeah. But obviously, what happened is we started just pushing his page from last year, which we grew really well. And so now mine's really at the early stages of the page. So you've got a big following, mine's very small. So now it's just establishing how to.
Well, as long as it doesn't really matter. As long as it's being amazing, then normally you get.
I think mine then still need to understand how the content works for me, I think.
And that's
We
right.
haven't started boosting anything on our
Okay.
page because we're not sure what's working for us.
Yeah.
And I would just test different types of content. One actually the best way to do that sometimes is throwing stuff up onto your stories with a call to action to see what people want. So like if you put up interaction like want a free copy of my glute guide and loads of people DM you, like more than anything else, like cool. So like let's make content around glute training would be an example. Like I find stories quite good for just testing stuff because you like, I'll give you an example. I put something up the other day about the goals for this year. One of them was to improve my eyesight. Loads of people DM me asking like, what are you doing for this thing? And I was like, that's really interesting. Not that I'm going to make a lead magnet on that. But we actually filmed a reel on it because I was like, that's quite interesting. People seem interested in this thing. But that's what sometimes for me is like things you don't think are interesting, other people do.
One more, sorry.
That's right.
What would that be an ideal ratio between your net income and ad spend cost?
Great question. So the ratio I'd look at is a max of 20% of marketing. So if you make 10 grand a month, 20%, 2 grand you'd put into marketing is roughly where you want to look at. No, gross. So you make 10 grand net, then I'd put 20% in towards marketing costs. Like you could put the videographer in that as well if you use videographers, because like anything that's bringing in traffic and eyeballs that's where I'd look. You can be more aggressive than that if you want to be. But ultimately, one thing you also have to understand is if you have a rough tracking in terms of the return on investment, like you with webinars, if it's like 5 to 1, it's like, okay, we need to spend way more on this because this is clearly profitable. So like depending on where you're at, things need to be escalated a bit more.
Where would you put the events on for filming?
In terms of costing?
Yeah.
Staff, 20% of your business. That's depends. Like generally, the bigger your team gets, the more your overall like payroll is going to go up because like the bigger the business is, you have to start an admin for managing client payments for all sorts of stuff. Or you make more content, you've got more editors. So it's going to increase as you scale, but like which is why generally margins start to come down, but you make more overall.
What average would you say is a good net profitability?
It depends on the scale you're at. If you're over 50k a month, 48-50% is good. Like for an online business, I like the goal I have is 48-49%. It sounds counterintuitive, but if you're making like 80% profit margin, I'm like you could have a way bigger business because you're not being like unless you don't want a bigger business, which is like I can understand people don't want that sometimes. But if you're a bit more aggressive, you could probably 2-3x. Because that person's probably not spending money on marketing, they're probably not hiring staff, they're probably doing everything themselves.
Yeah, that's
which
kind of where I think we're at a bit where we've got a good profit, but we're not actually putting that money into enough. Just start dipping our feet into that, so we can definitely put more into that. But I think if we start spending a bit more on even staffing, but also like ads, we'll be able to be a business.
But at a certain point as well, like you can have a higher profit margin and just work every hour of the day, like and do all the coaching, but then that's not really the point. The goal is you build a business that like funds your lifestyle and helps you do what you want to do, and you actually have you have money and time, rather than you can have loads of money but you have no time and you're like, yeah. But that's the goal of like you build the actual business so that if you want to go on holiday for 5 to 7 days and not look at your phone, like the world doesn't come to an end. And that's actually a goal I'd have for everyone in here is like you can go. Like the first time I did it was maybe like 2 years ago. I went to the Maldives. I didn't look at my phone for 4 days. And it was like, the first day I was like fucking stressing. But day 2 I felt amazing. And then when I opened my laptop at the airport, I was like, like what the fuck am I going to see? I don't know if anyone gets that when you look at your phone, like what's this going to be? And everything was fine. It's like, the thing works without me. But that's where you have a limiting belief sometimes in your head of like, I have to coach everyone, I have to do all sales calls. But if you get the right people and the right processes in place, and nothing's ever going to be perfect, the thing can start to run without you. And if you want to go away for a few days and not really do any work, that's fine. And that's actually really important because that's also when you get a lot of your best ideas and you can think clearly and like with an overview rather than you're being reactive.
What's one question that you'd ask someone that you're going to hire that you think
say, right, here's someone that could work here?
What does success in the business look like to you in the next 12 months? Like in their job role. So, for example, if someone was a coach and they said to me that they could then move to Bali and then sit on the beach all day, or like gave that type of impression, like you're definitely not the right fit, because you're going to get some people who are like that because they want to do the bare minimum. Like we've had coaches who work for us before who are like, yeah, I want to take 2 weeks off, like I'm not doing my check-ins. I'm like, don't fucking work. Like we're not paying you for 2 weeks then. So, and actually, I'm not, edit this bit out, like so. So. To give an example, we had a guy we hired recently, he was a video editor, and we agreed on what we were going to pay him was like £10 an hour. And then he messaged like a week later being like, oh, I just found out the minimum wage for my age in the UK is like £10.99. Like, what are we going to do about this? I was like, well, and Emily runs a content team messaged me, it's like, well, you can tell him he either does what he's agreed or he goes work somewhere else, because like, it is what it is, we're not putting a gun to your head. And he's also on a probation, we said we pay him £12 an hour after 3 months. So like, things like that automatically is a massive red flag against that person of like, you have the woke mentality of entitlement. I'll pay people someone like whatever they want if they're good, but people have to prove themselves. If people come in from day one and they're really entitled, that's like, for me, they're probably not going to be there in 2-3 years' time, and I want people who are going to be there in 5 years' time. That's something I would ask, because you're also going to understand if their values are aligned with yours. So if they come in and they're like, cool, and they're a coach, and they're like, I want to get the sickest transformations, I want to keep learning as a coach, I'd love for you to put me on some courses so I can get better, like, that's what you want to hear.
Yeah, I think a big thing for me is that I think I've taken a lot of coaches that haven't been right in the end, but like, they should be making your life a lot easier, they shouldn't be making your life more stressful or harder. So if that's happening, it's like, okay, that's a red flag, that person is probably not right anymore. Like, there's a lot of people out there that want to work for you and they would love to have this kind of job. So it's more just, like you say, is it like hire fast?
Hire slow, fire fast.
Hire slow, fire fast, yeah.
So the way I'd say that is if someone starts bad, I've never seen them start really badly and they end up good.
Yeah.
Never. Once we've had a guy we tried to demote a couple of months ago and he completely turned it around. I've never seen anything like it, but that's the first time I've ever seen that. Part of that actually was my fault because I didn't set him the expectations of the standards I wanted, which was my responsibility.
Your man, what's the guy Paul that you had on the podcast?
Yeah.
And he was talking about don't stop pouring into people even if you've had a bad experience in terms of like you've been burned with staff. And in a different industry, I've had a nightmare with staff because I had to hire them on salaries. And then coming back into this industry, I'm like, I have to forget that experience and continue to pour into people, and then just hope that they're the right people, and you're always going to have a lifetime with all staff, even best ones, you know.
Yeah, everyone's got a lifespan. Like, not everyone, but like a lot of people. Like, rarely do people come and work for a company now for like 30 years. No. Yeah. But also, like, one thing that I found is as your business grows, sometimes your business outgrows the people who work for you. So like, people will get you to a certain point and then they're not at the level where they can get you to the next level, and it's not their fault. And actually, you trying to push it upon them of like, I want you to run this team of 50 people now, like that might not be what they originally signed up for as well. So that's why I'd actually say one of the best things when you have a team is like, how can you, Paul gives an analogy of pouring into them, is like, you actually need to spend money in terms of like investing in them and training and helping them to get better so they can be better at their job. But that's a lot of what they actually want sometimes. Now, my mission is to help trainers get financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom so they can do what they want, when they want, with whoever they want. And that's the whole thing I've wanted throughout my entire life, is pure freedom. And that's why I'm making these videos. That's why I'm teaching trainers to do exactly the same thing I have done, so you can have that freedom too. We do consistent monthly workshops. We've got one next month in Dubai. We've got a big event in November in Dubai as well. We have events all year round. So if you want access to one of our workshop events like this, DM me workshop and I can send you information of our latest workshop we'll have coming up. These are fully interactive and fully engaged, and I will specifically help you on these. And if you want help in terms of how to take your business to the next level, hit the link below this video. You can book in a free call with us. We will find out where you are, where you want to go, why you're stuck, give you value to help you make more money. And if you're a good fit, you can come and work with us. Obviously, selfishly, that's the goal. We want to help you to get to the next level and to come work with us, but we'll give you loads of value that will help you make money either way. So hit the link below this video, book a free call. Took value from the video, smash the like button, comment below any specific questions.
I will personally answer the comments, and we'll see you next video very soon.